This year, experience the NHL playoffs your way. Want to watch a single? Do or Die Game 7, a full week of heavy-hitting back-and-forth series. Then check out Sling's 1, 3, and 7-day passes. Watch the Chase for the Cup on ESPN and TNT, starting as low as $4.99. No long-term contracts or overpaying. Just live hockey at home or when you want it. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.
I've been alone with you inside my mind, and in my dreams I've kissed your lips 1,000 times. I sometimes see you pass outside my door. Hello, is it me you're looking for? I can see it in your eyes, I can see it in your smile. You're all I've ever wanted.
On this week in 1984, Lionel Richie began a 2-week run at number 1 on the U.S. singles chart with that song right there. Hello, it was Lionel Richie's second U.S. number 1 as a solo artist. Also went number 1 in the UK. And I can't help but think that when Lionel Richie's 2-week run at number 1 ended 42 years ago this day, that we all woke back up with the next single. I forgot how sleepy that song was, but a nice tune from Lionel Richie, number 1 this day in 1984. This day is the 12th of May. Welcome to the show. I hope your morning is off to a spectacular start. Mine is, for what it's worth. Thanks for asking. I hope you're enjoying similar weather. It's crisp again. It feels a lot more like autumn than it does. Can we call this late spring now? I think we can. Spring started in March, right? Now here we are in mid-May. But we are quite spoiled where we are broadcasting from this week as we get ready for the next big Rangers game tonight. And the grounds here at the hotel are just gorgeous. So I took a walk from my room out onto the grounds this morning to shoot my video to promo the show. If you haven't seen it yet, I don't usually do this. It feels rather shameless, but go check it out. I look really pretty in the garden. I do, but it's really the garden that's the star of the video, and the bright sunshine and just getting out there. It just, it filled my soul in all the right ways and got me in the right place for this show, because I'm not going to tell you a lie. I never would. I'm going to have some trouble concentrating today. I feel like Ferris Bueller at the beginning of Ferris Bueller's Day Off when he opens the curtains, stares at the sky and says, how can I possibly be expected to handle school on a day like this? And so not only do I have a gorgeous day, but there's that big hockey game tonight, a hockey game during which the Kitchener Rangers can do something they have not done in 18 years. And I'm having trouble concentrating on anything else at all. I've been, since yesterday, kind of going through the season that's been, the trips that we've been on, the moments that we've shared, the challenges, the successes. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like we're one win away from the ultimate success. But I have to be careful to not get ahead of myself. So I'll just leave it right there. We'll get into more of that during our Farwell Show 5. And as you know, our phone line's open the minute we begin the show every day at 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. On the note of that show preview video that's on our social media pages, you can find it on Facebook. Just look for the Mike Farwell Show on Facebook. It goes on my X and my Instagram accounts at Farwell_WR. Just see how pretty the garden is. But something else happened in that pretty garden early. And I do mean early this morning. I shot the video before 8 a.m. I'll tell you about that in a second. But Andre is on the phone with us early this morning. So why not start our morning with Andre? Good morning, Andre.
Good morning, Mike. Game day, baby.
Game day, baby.
Yeah. I think this is it, but I'd like to see it back in Kitchener, but it's up to them. I'm calling Mike also because of how much you and GP are doing so amazing. I have to say, Mike, you know which team I love in my heart, but not the Kitchener Rangers, of course, because I haven't even listened to the other team once, just because I'm just so in the heart of this, and because of you and GP, just amazing. I look at the score, of course, but, this is huge, more than the Final Cup. And last point, Mike, is I really love when you sneak out and do your wonderful interviews, or that GP when he tells the score and talks about the team that I love. Good job, GP.
Thank you, Andre. Good to hear from you this morning. I'm glad you're following the right team, at least for now. And it's funny, you talk about all the work, and I have a difficult time calling the job that I do work at all. I mean, look, I won't even go further down the path. Every job has its challenges for sure. And there are long hours, early hours, challenges, as I said, with every single job. But when you are doing something that you enjoy so much, it doesn't really feel a whole lot like work. You'll put in the time, but the reward is in the opportunity to do a job like this. I love this show every day because we get to interact together, talk about the issues of the day, and who wouldn't love going to a hockey rink, even in mid-May? These are the days that you want to be going to a hockey rink, because if you are, you're at a pretty special time of the season. And as I did that little walk this morning to shoot that video for the show preview, I was thinking about the number of hotels, especially like in the playoffs. We were talking last night over dinner about Saginaw, the first team the Rangers played in this postseason. Who remembers that series? It feels like a year ago, right? To the Sioux, to Windsor. And now here we are against the Barrie Colts. It seems it's all a blur, really. And over the course of the entire season, tonight will mark game number 86 for the Kitchener Rangers, not counting preseason, 68 regular season games. And tonight is playoff game number 18. And I was thinking of all the hotels, all the road trips, all of these other things. Yes, it is time consuming. It is the work that you do to earn a paycheck and pay that mortgage. But we're pretty lucky to get to do what we do. So here's what happened this morning. I actually had to stop and restart my show preview video, because there I was on a beautiful sunny morning before 8 a.m. in this nice garden area here on the grounds of the hotel. And what interrupts my video? I was almost at the end of it, in fact. But what interrupts it? A leaf blower. Can we just take a moment to acknowledge the leaf blower's existence and then work on erasing the leaf blower from existence? First of all, it ain't fall, okay? But even if it was, we have these things called rakes. You can use a rake when it comes to taking care of your leaves. Second of all, it's spring, and this leaf blower was being used to blow dust or dirt or whatever away from this sidewalk. We have brooms for things like that. Leaf blowers are the absolute worst things we have ever invented. We do not need them. We certainly don't need that kind of racket interrupting a pristine morning like this one here in Barrie. We need to get rid of leaf blowers. Here's a thought for you. Any municipal candidate running for office in this year's election, if you want to bring forward a ban on leaf blower part of your platform, I will support it wholeheartedly. I will endorse you. Get rid of those damn things. They are a scourge on our community. Rakes and brooms have done the job for millennia. Enough with the ding-dang leaf blowers. Oh my goodness. And don't come at me with, well, I have an electric one. I have this. No, stop it. Stop it. You don't need a ding-dang leaf blower. They are the worst. Okay, I got that out of my system. Just ahead of our Farwell Show 5, let's get another call. And Doug is here this morning as well. Good morning, Douglas.
Good morning, Mike.
Leaf blowers. It just seems to be a never-ending stream of things in this world that just get lazy. I don't own a leaf blower. I never will. I've got a rake and we have brooms, and that's what we use. That's what it's for. I mean, I've never understood that. To tell you the truth, yeah, you're right about the noise. It's crazy. Anyhow, I wanted to touch base with you real quick this morning because I apologize. I was forgetful the other night when I called in, and I mentioned that phrase about the high, wide, and not so handsome. When you mentioned Don Cameron after I got off the phone, I nearly fell off my chair. I had heard that phrase quite a few times with Don, and it's amazing that you're so right. You're missing so much, but I'll tell you what, Mike, you're filling the shoes. You and Josh are doing a good job, and looking forward to tonight. So go Rangers.
All right, Doug. Thanks very much. I really appreciate the kind words. When Doug called the other day, if you missed it, he had heard me say high, wide, and not so handsome and wondered where a phrase like that would come from. And I have blatantly stolen it from Don. I look at it more as an homage to the man that meant so much to this community and this Kitchener Rangers hockey club. Don Cameron will always be the voice of the Kitchener Rangers. And I don't want to copy anybody else's style. I want to have my own. But something as unique as high, wide, and not so handsome, I thought I would sprinkle in every now and again. It might come up, I don't know, 5, 7 times, 10 at the most per season. As I said, this is going to be game number 86, so there would have been lots of times to use it. But every now and again, I'll sprinkle it in, and Doug heard it the last time that I did. And truth be told, I actually get a little bit of a lump in my throat when I do. I miss that man terribly, and I enjoyed every moment that we spent together covering this beautiful game in sometimes beautiful markets, sometimes not so beautiful markets. But we had a lot of fun talking about hockey, covering this game together. And as I said, I miss him terribly. So that's my little way of keeping Don a part of our Kitchener Rangers broadcasts today. Okay, it is Tuesday, right? Yes, Tuesday, May the 12th. Let's get to your Farwell Show 5.
1, 2.
All right, from 2, we will do 5, though. Okay, this Tuesday morning, your Farwell Show 5 begins at number 1, and it is official. We are getting an appointed regional chair in October. The province officially passed its Better Regional Governance Act last Thursday, which means we will not get to elect a regional chair, but we will have one appointed to us. The region says no nominations for the position of chair may be filed or accepted, and any nominations received prior to the passing of the act are deemed withdrawn. My big disappointment is they have not changed the position of regional chair to Grand Poobah. So I guess I'll just stay here on the sidelines and be a critic of all things political. Number 2 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, an MP is calling on Canadians to fill out their census for the good of their community. Liberal MP Mark Garrettson posted a video to social media saying the census is not a personal data grab by the Prime Minister. He says instead, it helps make informed decisions about the number of schools a community needs, where hospitals and clinics should be built, and how much federal funding a municipality should receive. First of all, municipalities do not receive enough funding, so just stop it. However, if you would like to use the census to get more funding for municipalities, coast to coast, then please let's do that. But don't try to mislead me and suggest that municipalities will actually get their fair share of funding. Remember how it goes, right? The feds have all the money, the province has all the legislation, and the cities have all the problems. Something like that. Hazel McCallion, the former mayor of Mississauga, once famously said. So nonetheless, on the point of that, though, I had not seen, I guess I'm on the wrong corners of the internet, but I have not seen these social media posts with people saying return to sender and claiming all these other things. Don't be dopey. Just fill out the census, okay? Just stop it. It's actually quite important and very useful for all of us in the region, okay? So just fill it out. Don't be a dope. Number 3 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, U.S. President Donald Trump is set to leave for Beijing for high-stakes talks with President Xi Jinping, pardon me. The U.S. has been trying to persuade China to use its influence over Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. China is a major buyer of Iranian oil and insists it wants the war to end, even as the U.S. accuses China of helping Iran's military. Number 4 is today the day. Well, it was on exactly this day, 18 years ago, that the Kitchener Rangers last won an OHL championship. Kitchener beat Belleville 4-1 on May the 12th, 2008, with Nick Spaulding. That's right, Nick Spaulding, assistant coach with the Cambridge Redhawks. Nick Spaulding, he scored the winning goal for the Rangers back on this day in 2008. For what it's worth, the Rangers led that final back in 2008 over the Belleville Bulls 3-0. But the Bulls won the next 3 games and forced a deciding Game 7. This year, as you know, the Rangers lead the Barrie Colts 3-0. And they have the chance, the Rangers do, to wrap up the series tonight here in Barrie. You will get all of the action if you can't make the trip up. If you didn't get a ticket, I heard last night some rumblings about tickets going for like $1,300 for a set of 4 tickets to this game tonight. I don't know. It's just what I'm hearing, the rumblings around the rink. But if you can't be here, just be here on this radio station, your home of Kitchener Rangers hockey. Josh Piercy and I will have pregame coverage starting for you at 6:30. And number 5 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, congratulations to the Fergus Whalers, winners of the Provincial Junior Hockey League's Schmaltz Cup. That is a tough trophy to win. The Whalers won the deciding game 4-3 in overtime over the Tavistock Braves. Both teams finishing off great seasons, but the Whalers take home the trophy. And that is your Farwell Show 5 for this Tuesday morning, the 12th of May.
A Monday warrior, mean stride. Today's Tom Sawyer, mean pride.
Can I have 2 liters of pop? Can I have 2 liters of pop? Well, what's more healthy, 4 beers or 2 liters of Coca-Cola? Do the math.
I have done the math. The Kitchener Rangers have a 3-0 series lead on the Barrie Colts. One more win, and the J. Ross Robertson Cup is theirs. But it's going to be tough. The last one is always the toughest. The first cut is the deepest. The last win of a playoff series is the toughest. We'll take a break. When we come back, it's your morning wake-up call here on the show. Either you can make it or I will. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Couple of things on my mind this morning I want to share with you here on our morning wake-up call. First of those things, if you were listening to All News Mornings today with Christine Clark and Mark Douglas, good job by you. You got yourself off to the right start with your day, tuning in, finding out what's going on, and our reporter Josh Piercy was running down the candidates who have put their names forward for election this coming October. And it's early on, but as of May 1st, which was a week ago this past Friday, so 2 weeks ago this coming, take your pick, either way. In the last 11 days, it was Friday, May the 1st, when people could put their names forward, and already a number of people have done just that. We've also had a number of people who have said they will not be seeking re-election, including a couple of mayors in Woolwich Township and in North Dumfries, Sandy Shantz and Sue Foxton deciding they were moving on from municipal politics. Anyway, it would be exhaustive to run down every candidate for every seat across the region because there are 58 of those seats. But I just wanted to take the opportunity to remind you, first of all, some great work done by Josh Piercy this morning and a story posted to our website, kitchener.citynews.ca. And my opportunity this morning is to remind you that when it comes to the city of Waterloo, I want to be clear and specific on this. When it comes to the city of Waterloo, just the city of Waterloo, in this year's municipal election, please remember to keep the city of Waterloo scot-free. If you see the name Scott on a ballot in the city of Waterloo, I would encourage you to not vote for that person whose track record in municipal politics is terrible if you look at the record from his time as a school board trustee. So just trying to make it easier for you when it comes to the city of Waterloo in this year's municipal election, the best approach is to keep the city of Waterloo scot-free. If you see the name Scott on the ballot, just skip right by it. Easy enough. There will be other options for you to choose. Something that caught my attention, and coincidentally, here I am in Simcoe County as we get ready for a game in Barrie tonight between the Colts and the Kitchener Rangers. But the Simcoe County District School Board has announced that it's reviewing its educational resources after a harm reduction guide was distributed to high school students during a recent lunch hour. And this harm reduction guide was called, and I quote, Safer Snorting. That's right, safer snorting. This caught the attention of a number of parents who brought it to the school board's attention, and now the school board is conducting a review. This information actually came from a local agency which insists it does not seek to promote or normalize substance use among youth. We regret that unvetted materials were distributed in this context. We're working closely with our local branch to review and strengthen our content approval process to ensure all materials are appropriate for their intended audiences and aligned with best practices and community expectations. Let me share a little bit with you, though, about what was in this booklet distributed to high school students here in the Barrie area called Safer Snorting. I'll quote directly from the booklet. You may be new to snorting drugs or have snorted drugs for many years. Either way, this resource has something for you. Inside, you'll find straightforward, non-judgmental, and up-to-date information that you can use to make decisions about your health. Again, you may be new to snorting drugs or have snorted drugs for many years. I'm sorry, these are high school students. Look, I get these are high school students, and we want to distribute to them a pamphlet that talks about snorting drugs because they may have been doing that for years already, or maybe they're new to it. Do you think there is any possibility that this pamphlet makes them more curious about what do you mean about snorting drugs? And this is going to help me make decisions about my health? How about the decision about your health to be not snorting drugs? I've heard this before about the war on drugs and the just say no and how misguided we all were. Okay, if that's your position, fine, but then tell me how this is not misguided, please. That a booklet entitled Safer Snorting gets handed out to high school students, and the following language is in the booklet. You may be new to snorting drugs or have snorted drugs for many years. How is that not misguided? I think I would rather go back to the say no part. How about when we're issuing some educational resources to people in high school, we just promote to them or remind them the dangers of drugs and what drugs do to their growing bodies. How about we focus on that? My goodness gracious, my mind almost exploded. I guess that means it's almost time to get the heck out of Barrie, right? We'll do that after the game tonight. Right now, I'm going to get you to the 570 News Center for an update. And then let's talk about bullying in our schools. Some parents in Cambridge have had enough. We'll hear their stories coming up on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. You may have noticed the crowd that had gathered outside a public school in Cambridge last week. This was a crowd of parents concerned about the level of bullying their children were experiencing at school. And I guess they'd had enough and wanted to bring their cause to a more public area. So out front that school is where they rallied last week. One of those parents is Kim Williams, who joins our show this morning. Kim, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Mike.
What sorts of experiences have you been dealing with as a family when it comes to bullying at school?
Our family has experienced ongoing concerns surrounding bullying and the responses to it. Over time, it's become clear that it wasn't just affecting our child or our family, it was affecting other children and other families.
What were those responses to it that you allude to? What was the school board or the school telling you?
Essentially, we've heard many things as to boys will be boys. We've had emails and concerns ignored. We've been swept under the rug, and we were told that as parents and our child who attends the school, we need to come up with a solution in order to make them feel safe.
You need to come up with a solution to make your child feel safe.
That is correct.
Can you share with us, Kim, what some of these bullying experiences have looked like? What's been happening to your son?
He has been physically attacked. He's been punched in the stomach. He's been body shamed, gender shamed. He has been pushed and shoved into lockers. He's had false accusations brought to attention. He has been excluded. He's been harmed. He's been made fun of. You name it, it's happened.
For how long has this been going on?
This has been going on since March the 20th.
So we're coming up on 2 months now.
That's correct.
Okay. And what's the impact been on him and your family, Kim?
It's been very difficult. He has always been a happy-go-lucky child. He used to love attending school. He was very outgoing. He loves trying out for sports and different academic activities. He's since been very withdrawn. He no longer enjoys going to school. He doesn't want to go to school. That's a battle all on its own. He no longer is outgoing. He doesn't want to hang around outside with his friends or even his cousins. He just kind of wants to isolate himself and be by himself and do his own thing.
And I'm sorry, I should have asked sooner, Kim. What grade is he in?
He's in grade 7.
Grade 7. What kind of support would you like to receive from the school or the school board?
We would really like to have stronger anti-bullying responses, clearer communication with parents, and better student support. The situation's being taken more seriously before they escalate. Prevention matters just as much as reaction.
Are you aware of any steps that the school has taken to deal with the bully, or does all of the responsibility lie on you to make your child feel safe, as you said earlier?
They have something, and they've made a couple of blanket statements stating that they have a progressive disciplinary act when it comes to bullying. However, we are unaware of any actions that have been taken regarding any of the students. For privacy reasons, they can't share the students' information and stuff with us, which we completely understand. But according to their website, the school board and the school, they are able to share documentation and the reports that have been sent to the school board and we have yet to receive anything. Now, the students that are involved, some of them are, I guess, repeat offenders. They have multiple issues with multiple children at this school, and it's not just our son.
So because of the confidentiality, and I understand that too, for sure, but are you unable to learn if any disciplinary actions have been taken against the person or persons who are bullying your child? Like, do you
That's
know
correct.
what steps the school has taken? Yeah, they can't,
No.
they won't say anything.
No, they won't share anything.
What led to you organizing that rally last week?
So our family experienced the ongoing concerns and the lack of response. Over time, it's just become difficult to stand by and watch. And we know that there are others that have similar experiences. And this is why we felt that it was important to speak up publicly and peacefully.
In the days since that rally outside the school, has there been any outreach on the part of the school? Has anything changed in the last 5 or 6 days?
Nothing. We've had zero communication. Our emails still go unanswered. 2 members from the school board were there the day of the rally, as well as the principal. Nobody made any move to contact us or to speak with us or to have a meeting with us. Nothing. There's been absolutely nothing.
So what recourse do you as a family have, Kim? What are you thinking of perhaps as next steps, for example?
Next steps looks like anything else. We have to go through the proper channels. Unfortunately, with the school and the school board not looking to work collaboratively with us, our next step is going to be the ombudsman. And then from the ombudsman, it's going to be the MPP. Then it's going to be the government of Ontario. And we will keep taking this as high as we need to until we can get a response. Bullying it's a big problem, and the suicide rates for children that are aged 12 to 17 are astronomical for the amount of students that get bullied and the mental effects that this has on not just our son, but all children. It's not fair to them. And the zero anti-bullying that they had previously has slowly and quietly kind of been withdrawn. They're no longer following the zero bullying tolerance. And the new age, the new generation of students that we have and all the tools that are available to the students and the bullies is different. And we just want to see new regulations, new counterproductive actions that can be taken for supporting a bully as well as supporting the victims, because hurt people, right? Anti-bullying really starts at home.
Kim, I really appreciate your time on the show today. Thank you very much for being here.
No, thank you so much, Mike, for having me and for bringing awareness to the situation. We greatly appreciate you. Thank you.
It's an important issue for sure. Thanks for making time for the show.
Thank you.
Kim Williams co-organized a rally outside William G. Davis Public School in Cambridge last week. I really liked towards the end what Kim was talking about insofar as anti-bullying efforts have to support the victim and the bully. Because here's where I land on this. I absolutely believe there is an underlying root cause within that person who is inclined to bully another. I'm not going to sit here and claim that I would know what that underlying cause is, certainly not without speaking to the bully or learning more about them. But I have no doubt that we could drill down into the root causes of what makes someone or what they are dealing with, what feelings they are processing that makes them act out in a bullying manner. I have zero doubt that they are not just doing it for the thrill of being a bully. In fact, there might not be any thrill at all. They are acting out on something in some way, especially at that age. I have no doubt about that. But what bothers me in this instance is what Kim said the message from the school has been, and that is it is incumbent upon the family of the child who is being bullied to come up with a way to make that child feel safe at school. I don't think that's the way this should go. Even as we acknowledge that the person doing the bullying is dealing with things that the victim of the bullying can't understand. This is just acting out for whatever reason it may be. Even though we believe and acknowledge that that underlying cause exists, there still has to be consequences for the bullying. We cannot put the onus on the victim here to figure it out for themselves or the victim's family, right? It's not up to the family to protect itself against the bully. It's up to the school and the school board. And as you heard Kim talk about running this all the way up the chain, our education ministry to properly discipline the bullies. We can't put the onus of responsibility on the victim. They should have a safe space to go to school. They should be able to experience all of the wonderful things that come with our public education. And if we are not taking actions against the bully, and it's hard to determine what actions are being taken because of those privacy and confidentiality aspects of this, and I get that. But if we're going on 2 months here and this child continues to be bullied, then that suggests to me that the bullies are still there. And I would ask why that is the case. Again, because we know so much better than we used to, I'm not saying anybody needs to have the strap delivered, right? Nobody needs that. But we must have mechanisms in place to apply consequences for the bullying behavior. Even as we try to get to the root of what is causing it, we have to take care of the bully. Even though they may be acting out for who knows what reason, they have to come to understand that there are consequences for those actions. And while they are suffering those consequences, I don't know what those look like. Is it a detention? Is it a suspension? Do you get expelled? I don't know. But we can then work with that child and their family to get them the necessary supports that they need to get at those underlying root causes. But we can't put the onus, and that's what frustrates me about this. We can't put the onus on the victim of the bullying and the victim of the bullying's family. That's my take on this. As always, I want to hear yours. Our phone lines are always open to you so we can have these conversations together. 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio.
We would really like to have stronger anti-bullying responses, clearer communication with parents, and better student support. The situation's being taken more seriously before they escalate. Prevention matters just as much as reaction.
That is Kim Williams, who co-organized a rally outside William G. Davis Public School in Cambridge last week, because for the past couple of months, her child has been repeatedly bullied at the school. And she is not getting, Kim and her family, an adequate response from either the school or the school board to try to remedy the situation. What they have been told most recently is that it's up to the family to figure out a plan to ensure their child is safe or feels safe at school. Let's go to the phones and hear from you on this. Pat is with us this morning. Good morning, Pat.
Hi. I have a grandson and granddaughter in public school, elementary school, and I've noticed that there's bullying going on, and I've sort of been keeping an eye and listening to what people say about bullying. And I'm just wondering, instead of the schools pulling the bullied child out and having them eat in the office to, quote, to keep them safe, why are they not taking the kids that are accused of being bullied, put them in the office so that everybody sees, oh, stay away from those ones, they're not very nice?
Pat, I feel similarly because in the reading that I've done on this story, I've heard those same solutions offered by the school. Let's remove the bullied child from the situation, and that's not the way it should be, in my opinion.
No.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Yeah. So that's my take on it. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Pat. I appreciate the call today. Let's go next to Paul, find out what's on his mind. Good morning, Paul.
Morning, Mike. I just wanted to make a quick comment and say that it doesn't sound like anything has changed. My daughter was bullied from last part of grade 9 all the way through high school. There was never anything done. I don't want to go into details. It's too long of a story, but I'll just say that we had the school had several events on the video cameras that they had in the school. We had emails, and they even came to my daughter's work and harassed her where she was at work, and nothing was ever done. And I went to bed many a night wondering if she would be alive when I got up in the morning, because it was terrible. And they did nothing, and it doesn't sound like the system's changed, which is too bad.
Oh, Paul, I appreciate you sharing that story. Thanks for the call. I can only imagine what that must have been like for you as a family, and going to bed wondering if your daughter would be alive when you got up the next morning. I'm going back to what Pat was saying, and I can't help but think that's got to be the starting point here. Like at what point do we decide that whatever this approach is that we're taking today is not working effectively, if at all? Let's go next to George, who's with us on the phones this morning. Good morning, George.
Good morning, Mike. I've got a really good progressive idea. They said families should figure it out, do something progressive. This hasn't been done in about 50, 60 years. How about right away when you're being bullied, you smack as hard as you can that bully right in the nose, and that will cut it short right there and then.
Yeah, George, I appreciate the sentiment. You know, I'm going back to the days of the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
Remember the Brady Bunch when I think it was Peter or one of the boys was being bullied, and their dad taught them how to box?
I think I remember that episode, yeah.
All right, George, thanks for the call. I appreciate hearing from you this morning. The challenge, of course, we run into there. I mean, I don't think that's the answer. I get where the sentiment comes from, and you're right. Several decades ago, that would have been the approach. Let me tell you, as somebody who is of my stature, it's highly unlikely that I am going to deliver with enough force my shot before the person who was doing the bullying, if they're so inclined to smack back. I'm going to be on the wrong end of that for sure. I don't know. Does one big dust up bring an end to all of it? I also think that bullying takes on so many different forms today as well. I feel for the school boards and the schools and the frontline educators who are trying to deal with this while they're also trying to deliver curriculum. But I just don't think that it's right that we're putting the onus on the family of the child who's being bullied. You figure out a plan to make sure your child feels safe at school. That can't be the approach. It's got to be on the person that is perpetrating the bullying. That's the way I feel about it for sure. An update on the way from the 570 News Center. And then let's talk about vaping in particular, those vape canisters. I'm learning about this on the fly, so maybe we'll learn about it together. But the impact on our landfills, well, this is a new twist, isn't it? That story coming up on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. It is a practice I have not exactly been able to wrap my head around, but hey, you do you. That's how the world works, right? And the practice that I'm talking about is vaping. This is something that we have talked about amongst youth, and how these flavored vapes or these very aromatic vapes might become more appealing to kids and thus get them into this habit. But there's another aspect of this that is starting to cause concern within the catchment area of the Wellington Dufferin Guelph Public Health Unit. Phil Wong is the Operations Director of Health Protection there and joins us for a conversation this morning. Phil, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
What are the issues that you have begun to recognize with these single-use disposable vape canisters?
Yeah, I mean, our enforcement team here has been doing inspections and audits of vendors for a long time. In recent years, what we have been seeing is entry of these new products, which are the single-use disposable vapes. How these products look like is it's fully encapsulated with a battery inside and nicotine and other various metals. And once the user has completed all the nicotine, there's still some residual inside. It is tossed away. What we're seeing, though, is that, and connecting with some of the local landfills and waste management sites, is that there actually is no real proper way to dispose of them. What's actually happening is it's likely ending up in the landfill for residential garbage. So folks are just putting it in their garbage can. And with the batteries inside, obviously this leaches into the floor, into the ground, and potentially impacts the environment. There are probably thousands right now, as our estimates, that are just ending up in the landfill.
And you talked about that monitoring that you've been doing for some time now, Phil. I guess by bringing this forward as you have, we're trying to get a handle on it before the problem becomes even bigger at this point.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, we put the onus on the manufacturers because currently it's actually ending up with the municipalities and townships, right? Right now, all these vapes, when they are being tossed in the garbage can, there are potential fire issues with the garbage trucks that pick them up, and they just end up in the landfill. There is actually no way that we can find that is to properly dispose of them at a public level, so a residential level. We do have tons of seized product from our inspections and investigations when we seize illegal product. We can dispose of them through a company, but they only collect bulk.
So you have to have a certain number of these canisters before they will accept the drop-off, so to speak.
Yeah, so for us, it's a minimum charge of I believe it's 300 kilograms or 200 kilograms.
Gotcha.
Which is substantial.
Sure it is. Yeah, especially when these things are so tiny. When you're seizing illegal product, what does that look like? Is there a black market for these?
Yeah. So post-pandemic, and once once some of these newer products have been entering the market, we have been finding a lot of them over the years. The good thing, though, is that in the last 3 years, we've put a concerted effort into enforcement and education. So back in 2023, I believe our team here in Wellington, Dufferin, Guelph, we seized about $45,000 worth of illegal products from stores and vendors. Last year, it was about only 2,300, 2,500. So we've seen a good, a significant reduction in illegal products in storefronts. But even with the legal products, which you can purchase, they still end up in the landfill.
You had mentioned earlier, Phil, even right down to nicotine residue that's left behind in these things. I always, and because I know very little about this sector of the market, if you will, I had thought that vaping was one step down from smoking cigarettes, the tobacco, the nicotine there, and trying to wean one's self off. But I'm not sure by the sounds of things, it's a whole lot, quote unquote, healthier, if you will.
Yeah, so you can use vapes as vape products to quit smoking. That is essentially when they originally entered the market, what it was packaged as. A lot of folks have just started using vapes off the bat without smoking cigarettes. We're seeing actually a reduction of tobacco, cigarette smoking, and an increase in vaping, particularly among youth.
And when it comes to the disposal of these canisters, I was thinking the same thing about, putting the onus back on the manufacturers here. What do we have to do to get to that point? Do municipalities have to band together? I feel like you're kind of the starting point of this conversation. What steps have to be taken in order to put that onus back on the manufacturer?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, the municipalities and townships do look into it. These products are approved by the federal government when they do come in, so something at the federal level. Locally, at the local level where our health unit operates, it's, there's not much that we can do other than advocacy.
You did talk about what the outcomes could be in terms of impact on groundwater, et cetera. Have we identified any of those impacts yet, or are we sounding the alarm because that's the possibility down the road?
Yeah, so we have not identified it yet. This is still quite very new. Even when we're talking about health impacts of vapes, it's quite new. We won't see or really have too much data on that until years. All right, it was similar to tobacco and cigarettes when they first entered the market years ago. We'll need studies and see how that impacts. At this point in time, we actually don't have an idea of exactly how many vapes are going into the landfill. We know that they're not being collected properly, and likely that with all the vape stores and vendors and whatnot within our region that they're selling, but obviously they're all going somewhere, right? So they're likely going into the landfill. We have not done any studies or anything like that, but we do know obviously when you put batteries and other metals and whatnot into the ground, eventually they will leach, which is why we have hazardous waste sites for battery and other electronics.
Phil, really appreciate you raising this issue and making time for our show today. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Phil Wong joins the show. Phil is the Operations Director in Health Protection with Wellington Dufferin Guelph Public Health. I mentioned before the 10 a.m. update that I'm kind of at ground zero myself here when it comes to my understanding, frankly, of even the market, the vaping market, that sector of the cigarette market, if you will, the e-cigarettes, et cetera. But my first thought was around what Phil said. I think the onus has to be placed on the manufacturers here, doesn't it? Because the impacts are being felt by the municipalities and our municipal landfill sites. And of course, those communities that have higher rates of vaping and these single-use disposable canisters going into their landfill sites will have or are at higher risk for the long-term implications of those lithium-ion batteries being in the landfills and seeping into groundwater. And we can easily see the path that Wellington Dufferin Guelph Public Health is putting us on here. When this story came to my attention, and I knew we were going to talk about it on the show today, I decided I don't often do this, but here's my hot take, if you will, around this story and lithium-ion batteries specifically. As you hear Phil say, not only do we have these batteries now collecting in our landfill sites, I don't care how small they are in these single-use disposable vape canisters, the battery is there. Not only do they pose a fire hazard to the fire truck, or to the garbage trucks that are collecting them, right? But there has been a proliferation of these batteries on all manner of devices that we use every ding dang day. You remember the stories, I don't know, a year or so ago? Apologies for the timelines. I'm old and things get blurrier, but we were talking about banning these things on public transit because fires were starting from these lithium ion batteries. Think about new apartment buildings that always have bike storage units. And if these bike storage units are like nobody, I shouldn't say nobody, don't use generalizations, Farwell, but it seems to me that very few of us use actual bicycles anymore. You know, the things that we used to pedal with the power and the muscles in our legs. We're all just humming around on these things that are powered by batteries. And think of the fire hazard in those buildings with all of these lithium ion batteries collected together, and some of them maybe aftermarket or bought off Amazon, who knows what. Anyway, so many batteries. Here's my hot take as I get around to it. Today's lithium ion battery is yesterday's plastic water bottle. We introduced these plastic beverage containers primarily, like we bottled water as a convenience. And oh, what a convenience it was. And the market exploded, and it's still far stronger than I would personally like it to be. There are absolutely applications and or uses for it, but my goodness gracious, with the plastic water bottles. And what have we been talking about for many, many years now, right? The proliferation of plastics, all of these bottles that don't make it to a recycling facility, even if they do, this, that, the other thing, they have become a massive problem. Well, welcome to the lithium ion battery. This is your modern plastic water bottle, at least from where I'm sitting. We already talked about them on bicycles. We talked about the fire hazards. Now we're talking about them in our landfills and seeping into the ground. We've been asking the question around, and now we're getting into the really big lithium ion batteries, but we've been asking the questions around what happens when the batteries in electric vehicles reach end of life. We have created all of these things, all of these ways. I don't know, I guess in the case of a disposable single-use vape canister, this is the efficient way, the most efficient way for delivering the e-cigarette. I don't know enough about the market. I've never vaped before, but we put this battery in there because we can. They're small, they're cheap, and they make the device work. We are not thinking at all about the implications. And I submit to you that today's lithium ion battery is yesterday's plastic water bottle. These suckers, these little lithium ion batteries, are everywhere. And the use of them is one thing. The disposal of them has become quite another. And we're not there yet. Much like when the bottled water market exploded, we didn't think much of it until we had used so many of these bottles one single time, and they end up all over the ding dang place. Well, welcome to the lithium ion batteries, which are also now seemingly all over the ding dang place. And what are we going to do to ensure their proper disposal? And by that, I mean a disposal that does not have long-term impacts on our communities, on our groundwater, on the ground itself, you name it. And we're just talking about one small segment of the market right now with these single-use vape canisters. My hat's off to Wellington, Dufferin, Guelph Public Health for raising this issue, where it goes from here. And how many of these batteries are we going to go after, right? How many of these devices? Anyway, today's lithium ion battery is yesterday's plastic water bottle. That's at least my take on the story. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. a beautiful, sunny, a little crisp, but still beautiful Tuesday morning here in Barrie. I hope that the weather you are experiencing is at least somewhat similar. You deserve days like this. And it's a big day, of course. We are here in Barrie because the Kitchener Rangers play their most important game of the season tonight. I've been saying it right through the playoffs, right? Every game is the next most important game. And tonight's game for the Kitchener Rangers is their opportunity to win the OHL championship. More on that before 11 this morning. But right now we have reached that time of the day where we like to provide you the reminder that all is not lost, not with humanity, not otherwise as well. It's 10:23.
Not everyone's a jackwagon. Not every heart is cold. Not every promise made to you is gonna turn to gold and fold. Some people mean it when they say they care. Some folks will show up, actually be there. So don't close the door on every soul you meet. Not everyone's a jackwagon on this street.
And your story this morning is very close to home. In fact, it involves a member of our Waterloo Regional Police Service. The Police Association of Ontario recognizes officers across the province on a regular basis. And Brittany Watson of the Waterloo Regional Police Service has been awarded the On-Duty Difference Maker Award for an officer in uniform. I cannot tell the story nearly as well as Brittany's sister can. So let me share with you exactly what was written in Brittany Watson's award nomination to be an on-duty difference maker as a uniformed police officer in this province. My sister grew up in Waterloo Region and always wanted to give back to the community we were raised. She became involved with community policing, working closely with vulnerable and unhoused individuals, many of whom have mental health challenges and reside in shelters or encampments. There are countless reasons why my sister deserves recognition. Every day, she carries an incredible amount of strength and emotional resilience while supporting individuals facing challenges that may seem simple to some, but are overwhelming to others. Her caring and compassionate nature has earned deep trust and fostered meaningful relationships with those she serves. Many of those she works with genuinely look forward to her shifts, knowing she'll listen without judgment or share a moment of kindness or humor. She is a police officer who sees the good in people, even on their hardest days. And that is why Brittany Watson of the Waterloo Regional Police Service was awarded by the Police Association of Ontario the On-Duty Difference Maker Award for an officer in uniform. Brittany's sister wanted to make sure the Police Association of Ontario knew. Now we know as well, and we get to recognize on our daily reminder. See, imagine people that look forward to a police officer's next shift. I don't think that's the case for everybody. Sometimes you might encounter a police officer when they are mad at you for something. You did too much speeding or you rolled through that stop sign. You take your pick. But Brittany Watson gets recognized, and thanks to my buddy Mike for bringing that story to my attention. I always tell you every day around 10:20 when we do this little segment called Not Everyone is a Jackwagon, I remind you that if you know someone who is not, you can just let me know via email, mike@570news.com. We will be happy to share their story as well. I mentioned a moment ago the big game for the Kitchener Rangers tonight. It's been a big season at the Memorial Auditorium. We're going to check in on that before 11 o'clock this morning, so in the next 30 minutes. And right after this update from the 570 News Center, a couple of big events celebrating women put on this month by the Kitchener-Waterloo Oktoberfest group. That story coming up on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. As you probably know, I am in Barrie today, where the Kitchener Rangers are playing a big playoff game in the OHL Finals versus the Colts tonight. And we often say when it comes to this game of hockey that it's no longer a winter sport. It is a year-round, ongoing concern, the game of hockey. Might as well be 12 months of the year by this point. I bring that up because it occurs to me that Kitchener-Waterloo Oktoberfest is very much becoming a similar thing. And I think that's a very good thing. If Kitchener-Waterloo Oktoberfest is a year-round thing popping up here and there, you'll see Uncle Hans and others at various events. And we've got a couple of big events coming up this month, the month of May. It's not October, but I'm okay with that because Oktoberfest is a thing here in the region. And it's a thing that I, for one anyway, am very proud of. Very pleased to be joined on the show this morning by Tracy Van Kalsbeek, who's the executive director at Kitchener-Waterloo Oktoberfest. Tracy, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. Go Rangers.
Did you say enough of that when you were at the game on Friday night? You were able to be there for that last big win.
What a crazy game. Yes, what a crazy game it was. It was so amazing.
Lots of fun to see the team performing so well, and now we're that one win away. So we'll pay very close attention to that tonight. But right now, let's pay close attention to what KWO, Kitchener-Waterloo Oktoberfest, is doing to celebrate women. And it's just this month, a couple of big things. Let's start with Women of the Year and the fireside chat that will accompany it. Tracy, tell me more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Women of the Year celebration has been happening now for 51 years. And this year, we're really excited to be joined by two of our 50th anniversary award recipients for a fireside chat. So we have United Way's Joan Fisk. A lot of people know who Joan is. She won the Lifetime Achievement Award last year. And then we had our Rising Star Award recipient, and her name is Rochelle Williams. And she has this really cool business called The Dessert Artist. And the two of them are going to come, and we're going to have a great conversation about careers and life and journeys and all of those things, you know, listening to somebody that's had a few decades of experience and somebody that's just starting out. So it should be very, very interesting.
And not just interesting, but inspiring, I might add too, Tracy, because having had the opportunity to be in that room for the event in the past, there's just something about that collection of incredible women that leaves you feeling, or leaves you leaving the room feeling very inspired.
Yes, absolutely, Mike. Thanks for bringing that up. I know I feel that, and so I feel like, you know, as the executive director, maybe it's my job, but honestly, I've been going to that event for years, and there is nothing else like it, I feel. It is, you talked about the vibe. It really, truly is electric in that room that evening. It's a bunch of amazing people have come together to celebrate each other, and it just, you can feel it. And, the fact that we have 12 different categories and so many individuals that have been nominated, people come out year after year. It is such a really cool experience to have. And it's different from some of the other networking opportunities we go to where you might see kind of the same faces kind of thing. Every year it's different. Every year it's different. So it's very, very, very inspiring to be a part of it.
51st year now, too. That one caught me off guard just a little bit, but basically we've been celebrating Women of the Year as long as we've been celebrating Oktoberfest.
Almost. Yep. And thank you to the Forward Thinkers back 51 years ago to put together an event like this that celebrated and gave women a hand up and an opportunity and a space to be able to connect with one another this way.
Just a little over a week away. Next Thursday, the 21st, is the Women of the Year event at Binghamton's. The other event coming up later this month is the Waterloo Region Women's Expo. And this is a newer event on the Oktoberfest calendar.
Yeah, that's right. And sorry, just one more thing about Women of the Year. I just wanted to do a shout out one more time to BMO Financial because they come on board to be our title sponsor this year. And we do still have tickets on sale for that. But yes, the Expo, this is our second annual. So because last year was our 50th anniversary of Women of the Year, we wanted to do something more to celebrate. And hence we came up with the idea of doing the Expo. So there used to be events similar to this back, before COVID, and they didn't seem to come back. And we just felt there was a real gap. And so we created the expo as a way to run some programming. We have a keynote speaker. We have really awesome, we have amazing, I think it's 90 some odd vendors that we have. Some of them are food vendors. There's lots of food sampling and everything going on. And then we also have some other great speakers that are going to be joining us in a lessons on loop panel. So there's just something for everyone. There's something interesting to happen. And tickets are on sale for that too. And that happens on Saturday, the 23rd out at Binghamton's as well.
Okay, so Thursday, the 21st, that is the night, and tickets are still on sale for the BMO Women of the Year event for KW Oktoberfest. And then the 23rd is the Waterloo Region Women's Expo. Here we are, Tracy, mid-May, talking about all things Oktoberfest, events that Oktoberfest helps to promote and is part of. I mean, how does it feel for you and the team? I said at the beginning, it's kind of a year-round going concern in the community, and I'm okay with it for sure, but you've got those really busy days in October, of course, but here we are in May. How does it feel for the team to keep this connection to the community throughout the year?
Yeah, it's super important for us to keep the name of Oktoberfest out there and people engaging with our festival. And so this is a great part of it, the work that we do on the women's events. But later this week, we're doing our ticket launch. So tickets will be on sale to visit all of our different fest hall-in. And, that's a great thing. We're going to be out at St. Jacob's Market on Saturday doing, a bit of a PR activation. We'll have Uncle Hans and Tante Frida on site. We're going to do a chicken dance and have some fun. It's a great way to connect with the community, but also with tourists that come to the market as well. And a lot of folks that are from the GTA area head there. And then, those are folks that tend to come our way for Oktoberfest. So, keeping our name out there is important. I know we've had a lot of engagement from the community around, hey, we're hosting a conference or a meeting and we want to showcase what Waterloo Region is about. Would you folks come in and, bring Uncle Hans and do a keg tapping, or, we can do root beer keg tapping and stuff like that too for kids, that kind of stuff, just to showcase what Waterloo Region is all about. And we're a big part of that brand, as you know.
I'm starting to feel, Tracy, as though half your wardrobe at this point must be trocked because you're getting into it so often. Yes?
I would agree with that. I do have a lot of journals. I have some lederhosen, and it's a lot of fun to wear. It's like you're getting into a costume to do a performance, and I love all that stuff, as you know.
Great stuff. Okay, so the BMO Financial Group Women of the Year celebration next Thursday, the 21st, followed by the Waterloo Region Women's Expo a week Saturday on the 23rd. You mentioned, Tracy, that tickets are still available for both. Where can we get them?
Yes, if folks go to womenoftheyear.ca, you'll see information about both sets of those tickets. I'll just give you the one URL because it's probably the easiest.
Womenoftheyear.ca. We can manage that. Always great to chat with you. Look forward to seeing you around the community, introct or not, and keep up the great work, Tracy. Thanks for being here today.
Well, thanks for having me on, Mike. Fingers crossed tonight.
Mine too. Okay, we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Tracy Van Kalsbeek, Executive Director of Kitchener-Waterloo Oktoberfest, joining us to talk about the two big events coming up later this month. In fact, in just over a week's time. A week from this Thursday, on May the 21st, it's the BMO Financial Group Women of the Year event. And then on Saturday, the 23rd, it's going to be the second annual Waterloo Region Women's Expo. If you go to womenoftheyear.ca, you'll get the information and the opportunity to get those tickets. I haven't been to the Women's Expo. It was the first year last year. I didn't make it. But having been at the Women of the Year event in the past, I can assure you that you leave the room feeling pretty darn inspired. It's a really, really great night, celebrating some incredible women in our community. So check out womenoftheyear.ca and get your support behind that for a nice and a fun night out as well. Okay, we'll take a quick time out. When we come back, you heard Tracy say, fingers crossed for tonight, right? And I alluded to it even before the 10:30 news update. Yes, of course, it is a big day, big night for our Kitchener Rangers. But, we are just reaching game number 86. Let that sink in. Tonight will be the 86th game of the season for the Kitchener Rangers, 68 in the regular season, and now this will be the 18th playoff game. That is a long journey that began with some, what I would call famous words uttered by General Manager Mike McKenzie at the annual general meeting before the season even began. I'll remind you of those words, and we'll check in with the Chief Operating Officer of the Kitchener Rangers coming up, because on the business side, there is a lot of work that we enjoy the product on the ice, and rightfully so. But the work that goes into creating that product and ensuring that it is there continually for us to enjoy, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. So Joe Birch, the Chief Operating Officer of the Kitchener Rangers, joins us next on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. I remember being at the annual general meeting for the Kitchener Rangers before this season began. And at that annual general meeting, Rangers general manager Mike McKenzie said, anything short of a championship this year will be a disappointment. Well, the Kitchener Rangers are one win away from winning that championship. The last game is always the hardest one, but those were the words from the general manager way back in September, and here we are in mid-May, one game away from achieving that goal. A lot of work, of course, goes into getting here, and I caught up last week after Sam O'Reilly was awarded the Red Tilson Trophy as the most outstanding player in the Ontario Hockey League. That's when I caught up with Rangers Chief Operating Officer Joe Birch for this conversation. Joe, this seems to me like another accomplishment, another feather in the cap of a cap that's had a lot of feathers this season. What does it mean for this organization to turn out the most outstanding player?
Well, I think it just speaks to our team of people, and it speaks to Sam, him as a person, and the things that he's done on the ice is what he's certainly recognized for, but the things that he does away from the rink and how he is within that dressing room. But I'm a big team guy, and that refers to everyone in the organization, from our hockey staff to our business staff to our volunteers, our board of directors, and it's just a reflection of all the people pulling in the right direction, per se. And it's a day that we should be proud of and celebrate.
You know, keeping with that team analogy, I guess maybe the quarterback of the team around the trade deadline would be the general manager, but you would have been involved as part of that team. What went into that pivot? I know it's an overused word, but from the time you found out you weren't successful in the Memorial Cup bid to deciding all our chips are going in here?
Well, I think a few things. One of them was we had to kind of take some time, because you remember, that's about middle of November-ish, and there were still games to be played. And where would we sit in and around the late part of December was kind of a key piece. And then all of a sudden, Matthew Andonovski returns. And I think at that point, to the credit of Mike and our staff and our discussions, it was, we have Ando, we either build and continue to grow in around him and sort of this free asset that returned back to us, or we do elsewise. And I think when we looked at where we sat in the standings, the return of Ando, the quality of the players and the team that we had, we just said, now's the time, and let's use the assets, the trade, the draft picks that Mike had, and let's start doing what he needs to do. And to his credit, it's been really, really impressive. And I've said this before, he rarely loses a trade. And I think in the ones that he's accomplished this year, I think that's proven to be true again.
I said to Mike not too long ago, when it came to the trade that he made for Sam O'Reilly and Jared Woolley, was not something that was on my radar, and I don't know that it was on the radar of many. What's that conversation like internally with an arch rival, a division rival, when Macker comes to you and says, hey, Birchie, I got this idea?
Well, I said the last time I remember some London Knights being traded was myself, and I think it was for a bag of pucks. But no, in all seriousness, it's odd, and it isn't normal, but it speaks to the professionalism of Mark Hunter and Mike McKenzie. And they both realized that short term for us, it was the right move to do. Mark has been the benefactor of things that'll help him long term, whether that's a year or 3 years out. And they're smart hockey people, and it's not normal. But what's normal these days in our hockey world, I think, is really the way that we start to view things with all the changing landscapes. And to the credit of the both of them, they found a way to get the deal done. And I think that's not the norm across this league. So I give them both credit.
On Sam O'Reilly, Joe, you're not just the business guy here in Kitchener now, you're a hockey guy, you played the game. What do you see, what have you seen from Sam O'Reilly that makes you say, yeah, of course he's the Red Tilson Trophy winner?
Well, I think it's his complete game. And, the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to really enjoy seeing him play in the National Hockey League next year. He might have a short transition in the American League, but probably because of his smarts and the way that he plays and he's so complete, it will be a short transition period. Barb Underhill has been here several times, who I know, who's their skating and development person, and every time she's come off the ice, I say hello to her as a friend, and she says, we love this kid, we love what he does, and boy, has he ever come a long way. And I think that actually just speaks to, it's easy when you're a 19-year-old first-round pick to maybe get complacent. He never has. And he's found a way to get better every day, and he's driven, and he's an incredible teammate, and he works incredibly hard, and he plays the game the right way. And he's going to play. He's going to play in the NHL, and hopefully for a long time.
I said at the beginning of this, it feels like the most recent feather in a cap full of them this year. You know the history of this organization. You know what winning means. And there's been a whole bunch of talk about unfinished business as we're about to enter the OHL championship. But as the man leading the business operations here, how does it feel to have this team back for the first time in 18 years to where so many people want it to be every year?
I view sort of everyone's role here, from staff members, business and hockey alike, is to leave the org in a better place than we found it. And in our own little way here, we're leaving it and we're building it to make it better than we found it from previous years. And that just means it's been too long of a time, and we're working towards that. But we have something special here that for future generations we can look back of and hopefully say that we were a part of. I know the way that people view Steve Biankowski and Pete DeBoer and Justin Azevedo and Mike Richards and all those others who have won previous to us, Brian Bellows and the 82 team. And we're on the cusp of that. We have a lot to do, but it's really unique. It's once in a career, possibly, for all of us. And we're not taking it for granted because it's so hard to get here.
I can attest to that because I see all the work that goes on at times that people wouldn't see it going on. I'm curious, though, Joe, because the crowds this playoff, to me, have been unreal. Do you ever just sit up high or hang around and admire what's gone on here, what this organization has brought back?
I get sometimes to be a fan just as much as everyone else, and whether that is actually sitting in the bowl or sitting up at the press box. But our fans all year long, Mike, from September on, have been tremendous in their support. But the playoffs particularly, it is something special. And the building's electric, and their energy and their knowledge and what they bring and how they help our players and our staff on the bench is unlike anything else in the Canadian Hockey League. And I know I haven't been to all buildings, but boy, I will take our 7,500 strong against anyone, any night. And it is something that is really, really unique.
Maybe, just maybe, we'll get to check out another building in the Western Hockey League in the not-too-distant future.
We have some work to do, but yes, that's the goal.
Congrats and thanks for this.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate the time.
Joe Birch, the Chief Operating Officer of the Kitchener Rangers. We have some work to do. We have one more game to win before the Rangers could possibly check out that other arena in the Western Hockey League. The Memorial Cup will be played in Kelowna. The Kitchener Rangers need to win one game before losing 4 in order to go to Kelowna. We'll keep our fingers crossed. If that doesn't get you ready for a big game tonight, I don't know what will. Are the Rangers going to get it done on the road in Barrie? We will find out. Pre-game coverage, Rangers, Colts, right here on your home of Kitchener Rangers hockey. Will start this evening at 6:30. You will not want to miss a minute of the action, and we've got all of the minutes, including the pregame minutes for you right here. I'm going to get you to the 570 News Center for an update now. And then let's talk about the region's water crisis, but through a different lens. How long can this go on before people who are waiting to build start launching lawsuits? Is legal action soon to come unless the region can get this water issue sorted out? We'll talk about that next on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. I got a message from a friend the other day who's got a background in radio and media. And he suggested to me that the Conestoga College story, which erupted late last week, will be the next latest gift that keeps on giving to a radio station like ours and a show like this. Because, you know, when you get big news stories like that with lots of angles and lots of reasons to get people upset, they tend to generate a lot of conversation, a lot of different stories. And when my friend sent me that note and said this Conestoga College story might be the next biggest, he made reference to the most recent biggest before the Conestoga College story came through. And that, of course, the water. I'm hesitating to use the word crisis because I feel as though this was man-made, right? Like we kind of done gummed stuff up and made a mess of things with our water here in the region. But nonetheless, we are in such a state that development has had to be frozen for some time. So it is absolutely a huge issue in this community, and we're going to focus on it again this morning. The water issue in the region of Waterloo and the far-reaching implications that we have created for ourselves. Joseph Pupolo is the co-CEO of Urban Initiatives and joins us this morning to talk about it. Joseph, good morning.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right, but how are you doing and how are your fellow developers doing right now?
Well, the sun is shining, and this is typical peak construction season when construction crews are out and about and getting stuff done. And obviously, we're waiting with bated breath for what's going to be coming on June 3rd, which is the decision from Regional Council regarding the interim risk assessment and how we move forward as a region.
What have you been doing in this state of limbo these last many months, Joseph? How do you deal with a time period like this?
Well, again, if anyone was to look at the last 6 years and the unprecedented issues that's facing the construction and land development space, whether it be through COVID, hyperinflation, geopolitical crisis, we've been navigating one issue or the other in the midst of the housing crisis. So this was just the latest curveball that we've had to face, but I'm hoping it's coming to a resolution.
If it doesn't, I mean, what recourse do developers have if on June the 3rd you hear that, listen, we're going to have to keep things paused for another 3 or 6 months?
Well, I think we are coming to a resolution. I've seen some positive signs that we're moving in that direction, both between what's happening at the region on the heels of last week's decision to allocate water to the lower tier municipalities. I know the lower tier municipalities are working hard to get their receiving bylaw in place so they can begin to allocate it. But if for whatever reason that vote or the direction does go sideways, I mean, I know certain developers, many developers are considering their legal options because they have literally millions of dollars of investment and liability, some with banks and other financial institutions. Others are large-scale investors, so they're considering that. And then there's a potential of the province intervening if it doesn't go well on June 3rd. And we're all waiting in bated breath to figure out what happens next. But, I mean, those are 3 potential outcomes.
When it comes to the legal aspect of this, Joseph, just so we understand it better. I mean, what would be at stake here is the money that developers and or investors have already fronted, shall we say, for various projects, and then these projects are being held up through no fault of their own. Is that kind of the gist of what would form a legal aspect of this?
Well, yes, and there's just sort of the notification and timing, and again, not looking historically as to how we got here, but people have invested a lot of money within this region. People continue to invest a lot of money within the region. This last 6 months has given everyone a little bit of a pause reflecting on that. But for those that already have money in the ground, they've already made substantial investment in pipes, soft costs like architects and things like that. They're looking at what their recourse is, because a lot of people proceeded forward. They made huge investments in the region in the best hopes of creating a business and benefiting the region. And now they're left holding the bag right now. So everyone is hoping for a quick resolution on the 3rd that at least gives them the light at the end of the tunnel to figure out how they navigate out of that. But failing which, there's going to be a lot of people considering their next decisions as to what they want to do. And unfortunately, legal is one of them. It's not something that people take lightly, but if they have to protect their investment, or the financial institutions are demanding them protect their investment, they may take recourse.
Is there a tipping point of any kind at which developers will just say, and investors probably too, will just say, look, we're going to go to a community that is ready for investment, ready to build, et cetera, and then all of a sudden the region of Waterloo falls behind these other communities when it comes to their growth?
Well, this is a principal issue, and as I've stated previously, water, like capital, is extremely liquid, and it will flow elsewhere if it feels that it cannot make a safe investment in our region. We're hoping to build out the goodwill and get back to the business of building. We want to take advantage of one of the many positive things that are coming out of multiple levels of government through the GST and HST rebate, through the federal government's plans to execute development charge reduction. So we want to be positioned in a place where us as their development community and to the end users can take advantage of that. And more importantly, we want to get back to the numerous trades who want to put food on their table and want to have a certainty of what the direction is for their staff. Because the machine operators who are not out there grading a subdivision, the people that are not putting in pipes in the ground, all of the trades are affected. And it's a kitchen table issue for a lot of people in the region.
I don't know if I'll say a lot, but some, I'm sure Joseph will say, and you've probably heard this in your line of work before, but some will say, listen, developers have made enough money and they don't need any more, and we don't need any growth in this community. How do you balance those views with your desire to move forward on projects in this fast growing region?
Well, the game of development is generally an extremely risky one, and I don't think people properly understand the risk profile in undertaking it. They look at, say, okay, what is the profits that are derived at the end of the day? But at the end of the day, the development industry employs thousands within the region, so it's not necessarily about the developer. It's about all the people that are affected downstream by this and the entire ecosystem of development in the community. And as a community, we have things that we would like, and what it essentially matters to them is effectively, if we're not developing and we're not putting money or development charges into the system, and there's all this planned capital works to be done at both the regional level and the municipal level, eventually that shortfall will be made up by taxpayers. So one of the risks that I highlighted from the early days of this is the huge impact to capital budgets, both at a municipal and regional level. And I don't want to see that become a downstream issue in the form of taxation.
I get the sense from this conversation this morning, Joseph, and what you were saying earlier as we look ahead to that June 3rd update from the region, that you feel optimistic at this point. Would that be a fair characterization?
I think there is a little bit of optimism and momentum that we're working towards a conclusion. Obviously, and I very much respect regional and municipal staff in terms of how we came to this moment, but I feel that there's a larger collective understanding of all of the different risk factors. Maintaining our water system is one of that, and setting a resiliency is one component of it. But I think we need to look at the certainty that municipal government provides and regional government provides to its business community, certainty that it provides from a financial perspective, and all of those things, they're all levers and pulleys, and they all need to be measured equally. And I think it's really important for the regional government to weigh in on this, because at this stage, the decision to not release any additional capacity has largely been made at a staff level. There hasn't been a regional decision on this, and that's kind of surprising to me. But by the same token, we're working towards a solution, and I hope it occurs on June the 3rd.
Joseph, I really appreciate your time again on the show. Thank you very much for being here.
No problem. Thank you, Mike. Have a wonderful day, and look forward to June 3rd.
You and me both. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Joseph Pupolo is the co-CEO of Urban Initiatives, and he makes it pretty clear. And again, this is an aspect to our water issue that I had not considered prior to a recent meeting at Regional Council. And it was at that recent meeting when councillors themselves were behind closed doors getting a legal opinion. Because if we are not able to move forward into the summer months, we miss an entire cycle of construction. And if we miss an entire cycle of construction, then those who have invested with the anticipation that construction is about to begin, etc., well, they're going to be out lots and lots and lots of money. And who would be liable? Perhaps, and that's what the courts will decide, but for making whole those developers who in good faith embarked on projects only to have the rug pulled out from beneath them. It just adds another layer to this water issue. And again, I'm trying very hard to use the word issue. I don't know if we can call it a crisis when we manufactured it ourselves. Somebody was sleeping at the water switch, so to speak. I'll take your calls right after this. Stay with us. A quick timeout and back with your calls on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
There's going to be a lot of people considering their next decisions as to what they want to do. And unfortunately, legal is one of them. It's not something that people take lightly, but if they have to protect their investment or their financial institutions are demanding them protect their investment, they may take recourse.
Hello, the co-CEO of Urban Initiatives, joining us to talk about the ticking clock on the region of Waterloo when it comes to sorting out the mess it has made on our local water file. Could there be legal action taken around or shortly after the next update on June 3rd? The answer would be yes, it could be. And why that is and what that looks like, we got into the conversation with Joseph this morning. 519-570-2545, star 570, 1-800-570-5715. Let's go to Jack, who is with us on the phone this morning. Good morning, Jack.
Mike, I know you love my programming notes.
I do love your programming notes. Please deliver them.
All right. So we should do a Friday shite show because I believe this water issue was unplanned and yada, yada. But they also know there's a sewer issue as well, infrastructure issue. Hate spending money on things they can't brag about or see. But the water issue supply is one issue. The getting rid of it's a completely different issue. So Those are two things. But my suspicion level on most of this stuff these days, Freaky Friday, Mike Farwell show, we should be talking about things that are going to come true in 6 months or a year, because it's unbelievable. But some of this.
Well, what do you think is going to come true in 6 months to a year?
Well, there's a possibility the water thing was well known, and this is their excuse to slow things down for some unknown reason. I know that sounds ludicrous, but ludicrous is on the table based on what's been going on for the last 10 years, or definitely 5 or 4. So what I'm telling you is that I find it very, very hard to believe that somebody miscalculated how much water they'd need for this many bedrooms, this many bathrooms, and this type of square footage or this type of kilometers. And I'm a little bit aware.
I could get behind that, because I
know
think
you
they
can.
had somebody. Well, all I'm saying, Jack, is I think they had somebody entirely inexperienced at this position, and so it doesn't surprise me that it could have been miscalculated.
Well, don't
there was
me
not
yet,
enough experience there. Okay.
Every time $2 billion or $2 trillion is lost on the financial markets, some 29-year-old kid, and you're thinking to yourself, how is it possible that a 29-year-old was put in charge of this? But anyway, I'm very suspicious of everything I'm told from government and reliable sources and such, and this could be just enough of guys, but it could be just a balloon to make excuses for why things can't get done. I don't know. It's just a thought of mine. It's not Freaky Fridays, but maybe we should talk about a show. I'll talk to you later.
All right, Jack. Thanks very much. Some of it. Listen, I do. I think this was a crisis of our own manufacture. I do think there were, frankly, underqualified, at most generous, or completely unqualified people in positions at the region that got us to this point. Listen, I understand the cynicism and the level of mistrust that Jack expresses. I totally get that, and I get why. And frankly, if there is one thing that our elected leaders should be focused on, along with the issues that need to be addressed in this community. And I'm thinking of this because we are into an election period, right? Nominations are open for the municipal election in October. But along with the issues you want to talk about, how about getting very serious about restoring trust in the institution that you would like to represent? I think that'd be a wonderful thing. Francis is also on the phone with us this morning. I believe Francis is Farwell's Force, member number 36.
You're right on there, my good man.
Oh, thank you, Francis. I don't have my notes in front of me, but I thought I had yours memorized.
Yes. Anyways, I'm afraid I have some grim news about water. Just if you have a minute, over 70 years ago on the farm in Formosa, we used to have to herd our cattle. It would be around the middle of August until the middle of September, down to the creek that they could get water, which was about a mile away. We did that twice a day because our dug well would always go dry. Now, further down the line here, when we were living in Eris, also the same time we had a little pond that we had ducks and stuff swimming around. Middle of August, it would go dry, and lo and behold, by the middle of September, the water would come back up again, because of the way Mother Earth tilts. So the big thing is going to come about as far as water is the middle of August, because a lot of the wells are going to go dry. And all I can say on that is God help us and God bless, Mike. Have a great day.
All right, Francis, thank you very much for the call. Nature always finds a way, doesn't it? And I will not claim to have any intuition when it comes to the various cycles of the seasons and their impacts on our dug wells, because I've always been a city slicker. I'm a cityite and kind of proud to be. I love our rural roots. I love our community and how quickly I can be into a rural community. I have the utmost respect for all of you who work the land the way that you do. And I know there are many of you doing that listening right now. And I so admire you for it. I'm the kind of guy that relies on public infrastructure because I don't have much hope otherwise. Nonetheless, I've heard similar stories to the one that Francis just shared, when it comes to this water issue, particularly around dug wells versus drilled. But that's a whole other kettle of fish here too, isn't it? We just want to make sure there's water in that kettle for the fish, because we have made a mess here of the water file in our region, and we are working as quickly as we can to remedy it. But it sounds like the clock ticking towards that June 3rd update could be a determining factor in whether or not members of the development community take legal action against our local government for the mess that it created. The local government is responsible for this mess that we're in. An update from the 570 News Center is coming up. And then May is Mental Health Awareness Month. What simple thing could you take part in to improve your mental health? You'll find out next on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Well, this Tuesday, May the 12th, is not just 18 years to the day since the Kitchener Rangers last won an OHL championship, nor is it just Game 4 of the OHL Finals series between the Kitchener Rangers and the Barrie Colts. Game tonight in Barrie, 6:30 pregame right here on 570 News Radio. Those things are absolutely true. It's been 18 years to the day since the Rangers last won an OHL championship. They play an OHL championship game tonight with a chance to win another. They're up 3-0 in the series. But this May the 12th also happens to be the second Tuesday of the month. And on the second Tuesday of every month at 11:30, we are joined by our friends at the Canadian Mental Health Association of Waterloo Wellington for our monthly mental health check-in. Helen Fishburne is the CEO there and joins us for these conversations. Helen, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. It is great to talk to you today, where we're excited and also our nerves are a little frayed thanks to the Kitchener Rangers.
Yes,
Mostly
both
excited.
of those things. Both of those things can absolutely
that's what
be
we
true.
do in mental health. We hold space for both, right?
I love it. I love it. And it just so happens that this month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I have come to learn, thanks to your organization, Helen, Canadian Mental Health Association of Waterloo Wellington, that there's a really simple thing that we can engage in by way of activity to do some wonders really for our mental health. And that is spring cleaning. How does spring cleaning support our mental health?
Yeah, it's, we like to try and make our mental health messages as relevant and as practical to people's lives as we can. And honestly, spring cleaning, like spring is always a time, where we open the windows, we come out of hibernation, we have some sunshine, we have some warmth, particularly after this winter, which was bruising for us all. It's kind of like you start fresh, and we do things in the spring. We get our lawns ready, we start organizing our garage, we clean out some closets, and we also want it to be a time to remember to take care of our mental wellness as well. Again, especially because we've just come through a really harsh winter. So spring cleaning, as much as we're organizing ourselves and taking our winter tires off and doing all those things, we want to remind people and have it conscious, right? How are you also taking care of your mental health and wellness this spring? What are the things that you can doing? And the first thing that we encourage, Mike, as always, is really doing that check-in with ourselves, right? How are we really doing? Check in with ourselves and check in with other people around us.
One of the things that I've really enjoyed, I made a point many years ago to even try to brave the worst of the weather in the wintertime. And I do reasonably well, but you're right, this past winter was bruising, to say the least. But getting outside is an absolute game changer for me, Helen. And this morning before the show, I always shoot a little video as a show preview, and I went outside the hotel and it was so beautiful. I almost didn't want to come back in, but that 5 minutes did absolute wonders for me today.
Absolutely. And again, I don't know what it is, whether it's just that fresh air, the warmth, the sun hitting your face, but it is so welcome. And it just is such a mood booster immediately, right? So again, many of us are working inside jobs. Some of us aren't even close to windows, right, in our work. So how can we invite that kind of daylight, that warmth, that sunlight? Take 5 minutes. Make sure that you walk around the block on your lunch hour if you can. Even, if you're not able to get outside for whatever reasons that you might have that prevent you from doing that, can you sit in front of a window, right? Can you just even start to see some of the shrubbery or the tulips coming up through the ground? Like, it's just so good for our mind. The other thing that we always encourage, and this has been the theme of Mental Health Awareness Month across Canada this year, Mike, is connection. We know that connection is the absolute best protector of our wellness. And spring actually helps us connect, right? Because we all come out of our houses, we see our neighbors for the first time, we actually have a neighbor, we can stand outside and talk to because it's not, frigid temperatures. And those people connections and personal connections are also so good for our hearts and minds.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Helen, because I noticed, thanks to social media, and yes, thanks to, it's not all bad all the time, but a group has formed rather organically in our community, led by a couple of men, and they call it a men's walk, and they've invited other men to connect, take a walk together, talk if you want to talk, just listen if you don't, but get out. So you're getting the physical activity and you're getting that connection and the ability to talk with other men. And they had their first walk a couple of weekends ago, and based on the photo that they shared, very well attended and a pretty successful start to their little effort here.
I saw that as well, Mike, and I loved it. I thought that was so awesome. And let's be honest, particularly for men who, I think women kind of naturally organize themselves in that way. There is more support and more socialization for women. Women have more networks. And it's okay for women to, we've always been socialized that way. Men, it's much harder. We're still fighting through the stigma for men, that they, have to put on the bravado. They have to, some men still believe that vulnerability is a weakness. We all know, of course, it's actually a strength. And that vulnerability of our human spirit is actually what bonds us and binds us together. As people. So I was so thrilled to see that walk. And again, you don't have to even do something that's organized. You could literally just knock on your neighbor's door and say, you want to take our dogs for a walk. Whoever's sitting next to you in the cubicle, do you want to go for a quick stroll, or do you want to have tea together this morning on our break? And just chat, just connect. How are things going for you? You mentioned the last time that your son was struggling with something. How are things with your family, right? Where we just actually show up for each other. We express some care. You never know in those moments what it might mean to someone to open up that kind of conversation. And just bring your true self and your whole self into those moments.
And I always want to be careful when we have these conversations, Helen, just going back to this morning when that 5 minutes I spent, maybe 6 or 7 outdoors, just did wonders for me. And, even though I had to come back in, I enjoyed those minutes that I could be in the fresh air and the sunshine of the early day. And it really did boost my mood. I could feel it. And these connections, absolutely, let's make them. And the thing I just want to be aware of is that it doesn't mean you do it once and the work is done or you automatically feel better. There's a continuum here, I think, for all of us. And it'll be how we experience these things and how they help us happens over a period of time.
That's right. And, we want to build them into our routines, right? Where we're proactively taking care of our wellness the same way that we would book a dental appointment, every 6 months or once a year to get that good cleaning, right? And you feel so good. Even, not a lot of people love to go to the dentist, but you feel really good afterwards. And it's the same thing with our mental health, right? What are the things that we can do to build that into our routine so we're proactively and regularly taking care of ourselves, our hearts, and our families in that way, in a conscious way. But then we also know that some folks need more than that, right? Yoga and kale smoothies are awesome. But sometimes people need actual care and treatment, right? They need counseling. They need to sit with a good therapist. They might not be sleeping well, and they might need a medication from a family doctor to help them through a rough patch in their life. They might be drinking too much and feeling some discomfort about that or experiencing some consequences about that. Those are things that, again, when you take the time to sit and to reflect and to really be honest with yourself and potentially with someone that you love as well who can give you some feedback, those might be some goals that you want to set for yourself, right? I want to reduce my drinking. I want to actually connect more with people. I've lost touch with some really good friends or work colleagues. I want to reconnect with them and spend a bit of time with them. I want to try and be more physically active. All of those things are ways that we can improve our own mental health, but only when we've kind of realized that or set a conscious goal for ourselves. Again, it doesn't have to be anything grandiose, Mike, and in fact, I would encourage it not to be. That always happens to us right at New Year's. We set all these goals for ourselves that are often too lofty. Just one simple thing can have a really wonderful impact in your life.
It's great advice and guidance, as always, Helen. And as we move through the remainder of Mental Health Awareness Month, let's take those opportunities to get outdoors, to do that reorganizing, and especially to make those connections a part of what we're doing this spring. Thank you, as always, for being here.
Always great to see you, and go Rangers. We're cheering on. Our community needs this. Again, it's been another thing that has bonded us all together, right, and brought joy. So I think that's so wonderful for our community. Whether the Rangers win or lose, ultimately, just seeing their efforts, their passion, and the community come together has been a wonderful support through the Mental Health Awareness Month. So you can thank the Rangers for that too, Mike.
We'll pass it along for sure. Thank you very much, Helen.
Take care.
You too. Bye now. Helen Fishburne is the CEO of the Canadian Mental Health Association, Waterloo Wellington. The Rangers have been a very pleasant distraction, haven't they? Because they've been playing playoff hockey now for, 4 weeks? We started the last week of March, and here we are into the middle of May. So a good long run. I guess we're into 6 weeks now for the Kitchener Rangers. And it does give us the opportunity to focus on something that certainly has the potential to bring us a lot of joy. Just imagine how much joy a win tonight and the capturing of that J. Ross Robertson Cup will bring us. But that's for later. For right now, I will not tell a lie. Just thinking back on the way the morning started and being outside and what it meant to me. During the news update at 11:30, I just ducked out onto the little balcony I have here, my hotel room, and kept the sliding door open a little bit. It's a big, bright sliding door kind of window for me here to look out at the blue, sunny skies. And I got some fresh air coming into the remote studio too. That's a good thing. We're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, how about ice cream for breakfast? I am absolutely here for that. And I'll tell you how you can also be there for that. Stay with us on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Well, one of my favorite events on the event calendar is in the planning stages to return to our community and to our bellies in about a month's time. It is the annual Ice Cream for Breakfast event, and it is hosted by our good friend Madison Letizzi. Her friends call her Maddie, and I've known her long enough that I get to call her that too. Maddie joins the show this morning. Good morning, Maddie.
Good morning, Mike. How are you doing?
I am doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I am fantastic. I just finished my first year of university, so that's some good news. And of
How
course,
did it
Ice
go?
Cream for Breakfast is coming. It went
It is
awesome.
coming. Yeah. So you like
Awesome,
the
very fun.
post-secondary life. You're at Laurier, right?
I am. I'm studying sociology. It's very fun.
Very good. So sociology, 1 year in the books, and your 9th fundraiser, Ice Cream for Breakfast, is coming up. You do this in support of Make-A-Wish. Can you tell us more about Make-A-Wish, Maddie?
So Make-A-Wish Canada creates life-changing wishes for children with critical illnesses. And actually, fun fact, in 2025, they granted 1,835 life-changing wishes for children with illnesses all around Canada.
That is an incredible number. And you were the recipient of one of these wishes a long time ago. What made you start Ice Cream for Breakfast?
So a little bit about me. I have scoliosis and muscular dystrophy. When I was very young, I think 2015, we heard about Make-A-Wish, and it was a very hard time in my life, and Make-A-Wish was able to grant my wish to go to my favorite theme park in Florida to me, Anna, and Elsa. And after my 7th out of 8 spinal surgeries, I decided I wanted to give back and help grant wishes for children so they can feel the joy that I felt. And so I actually took my favorite part of my wish trip and made it into my fundraiser. And my favorite part was having ice cream for breakfast.
I love that so much. You get to do this great trip. And the best part of it, I mean, I'm sure there were lots, but eating that ice cream for breakfast is fantastic.
Yeah, you know what?
Now,
There were lots. It was honestly amazing. It was a wonderful time, and it really it impacts your whole life. They say that wishes are like medicine.
oh, I like that. I haven't heard it put that way before, but I can get behind that. Wishes are like medicine. You mentioned
long lasting.
That's right. And I'm sure you still have those memories of that trip, don't you? Besides eating the ice cream for breakfast, meeting your favorite princesses, etc.
I do, and the best part is that I get to eat ice cream for breakfast every year now.
I see what you're doing here, Maddie, and I like it. I like it a lot.
Bringing back good times for me.
That's right. That's right. You mentioned those 8 spinal surgeries. That's a lot for anybody to go through. What was it like during that time for you?
I was very young. I think I had a spinal surgery every 6 months. My last one when I think I was 13 or 14. It was during COVID, but it was honestly probably one of the most stressful times in my life because it was ongoing. So there was no breaks, so Make-A-Wish and giving back and spreading the joy that I felt, even if it was for a short amount of time. Like I said, it's so long lasting that it definitely helped boost my happiness and joy.
I love to hear that. Over the past 9 years of doing ice cream for breakfast as a fundraiser, Maddie, how much money have you raised?
In the past 9 years, we were able to raise just over $85,000 for Make-A-Wish to grant wishes.
That's an incredible number. Like, how do you raise $85,000 by letting people eat ice cream for breakfast? What's the magic here?
Honestly, I would not be able to do it without our community, my amazing family, my support system, and especially all the local companies and ice cream places that donate all the ice cream to make this happen day of.
And the day this year is Saturday, June the 13th. What else should we know about the annual Ice Cream for Breakfast event?
So as we know, it's Saturday, June 13th at the Stanley Park Community Center, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. I'll be there. The ice cream will be there at the most important parts. Toppings is going to be, syrups, toppings, everything you can really dream of. A kid's wish come true.
I listen, and a big kid's wish come true, because I dream of ice cream for breakfast, all those toppings too. So all we have to do is show up at the Stanley Park Community Center on Saturday, June the 13th, and get our ice cream and make a donation while we're there.
Yes, any donation is welcome. If you can't make it that day, you can also donate at icecreamforbreakfast.ca, and you can also learn more about the fundraiser on my website.
Fantastic. That website, once again, is icecreamforbreakfast.ca. It's happening a month from tomorrow, Saturday, June the 13th.
Oh, wow.
I know. Are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm so ready. I'm so ready. I'm so excited.
You're an expert at this by now.
I hope so.
Absolutely you are. Absolutely you are. Maddie, it's always good to talk to you. Best of luck with the fundraiser this year, and thanks for being here this morning.
Thank you for having me, Mike. I appreciate it.
Anytime at all. I'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Madison Letizzi, she's Maddie. Maddie is hosting her 9th annual Ice Cream for Breakfast event on Saturday, the 13th of June. Check out the website, icecreamforbreakfast.ca. If you're not into ice cream for breakfast, I mean, we can't even be friends, but whatever, you do you. And you can just make a donation anyway at the website, icecreamforbreakfast.ca, and help Maddie keep climbing that fundraising total to grant wishes, just like she had one granted all those years ago. $85,000 so far, and it's just going to grow from here. All right, from here on this show, we're going to get you to the 570 News Center for your noon update, and then open phone lines. We can talk about whatever you want. You want to talk about leaf blowers? You want to talk about the long form census? Phone lines are open. Let's have a chat. Talkback is next on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
After 7. News next at 12:30. I'm Matt Hutchison, 570 News Radio.
Mike is not the only one with opinions.
You have them too.
So call the Mike Farwell Show now.
519-570-2545.
1-800-570-5715.
And star 570.
The 12 o'clock Talkback Hour.
On 570 News Radio.
Take out the papers and the trash, or you don't get no spending cash. If you don't scrub that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
Just finish cleaning up your room. Let's see that dust fly with that broom. Get all that garbage out of sight, or you don't go out Friday night. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
Every day from noon until 1, we open the phone lines to give you the chance to have your say. You can have your voice heard on the issues of the day. Or maybe you want to bring forward something that you think ought to be the issue of the day. This morning I was riffing in, one of those I'm the annoyed old man shaking my fist at a cloud kind of ways. But I was outside on this beautiful property we have here at our hotel, and I was in a gardened area shooting the show preview video that I do every day and then post on our Facebook page and on my X and Instagram accounts and whatnot. And my first take of said video was interrupted by a leaf blower being used in the background. And I'm like, who in HE double hockey sticks fires up one of these suckers before 8 a.m. at a beautiful property like this? And then it just got me going on leaf blowers themselves. Like, I cannot stand these things. I wish they had never been invented. And I would like to meet the person who invented the leaf blower and then lock him in a hotel room just like the one that I'm in, plug in the leaf blower and make him listen to it until he cries uncle. And then we can just be done with the ding dang leaf blowers. Cannot stand those things. Anyway, it can be that random, or there are many issues to talk about, aren't there? We're into a municipal election campaign. We've got water worries and, some in the development community signaling that the next step for them might be legal action against the region for having them hung up in this development freeze. And of course, we have the census, which for some reason, folks are, I don't know what listen, I wish I didn't know this was a thing. But I saw Mark Garrettson's video online last night, the MP who is reminding you why we fill out the census to help the government make these decisions for, which community needs the hospital and financing that makes its way to municipalities, et cetera. This is important demographic information. You're not doing it for you. You're certainly not doing it for the prime minister. You're doing it for the betterment of your community. I just find, I guess I get it, right? This mistrust that we have in all things institutional these days, but you're not doing yourself any favors, and you're not really accomplishing anything by not filling out the census. But anyway, there's that we can talk about as well. And in case you hadn't heard, there is a huge, and I do mean monster, hockey game being played tonight in Barrie between your Kitchener Rangers and the Colts. So we can talk about that too, because I'm willing to entertain all discussions about my favorite hockey team. Numbers to reach us on Talkback are 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. And remember, if you can't get through on one line, the best little trick, insider information for you here, try one of the other numbers. You can sneak in that way, okay? Let's begin with Paul, who is Farwell's Force member number 331. Good afternoon, Paul.
Hey, Mikey, how's it going?
Great, thanks. How's it going with you?
Terrific. Do you remember about 5 weeks ago, right at the beginning of the playoffs, I called into you and I said to you, can you imagine this Ranger team with number 19 in the lineup? And look what we have.
Look what we have. We have number 19, Luke Ellenis, that little nut bar himself in our lineup. I love it.
Yeah. I think we're going to give Everett a run for their money.
Well, okay, now, whoa there, Paulie.
Get past Prince Albert.
Hang on now. Hang on. You're already you're finished with the Colts already, by the sounds of it.
Well, the Colts, they never give up, so I wouldn't be surprised if it stretches out a little bit. But I've been watching the rest of those series, and we can play with that Everett team if they can get past Prince Albert.
1-1 in that series, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Paul. I love your optimism, buddy.
We'll be there.
Sounds good. Thanks for the call today. All right. Take good care. So Paul is already deciding that the Kitchener Rangers will dispatch of the Barrie Colts. Maybe not tonight. He said he might not be surprised because Barrie is a hardworking team and they never give up. Remember, in the last two games, Barrie scored a goal in game 2 with 3.6 seconds remaining to force overtime. Then they scored a goal in game 3 with 12.1 seconds remaining to force overtime. The thing is, in overtime, we won. Our Rangers won both times. So it's a 3-0 series lead for Kitchener. One more win to go. And that win could come tonight. Pre-game show starts at 6:30 right here on your home of Kitchener Rangers hockey, 570 News Radio. But Paul is already moving on to the next thing, which would be the Memorial Cup. And let me see. In the Quebec League, it's Moncton and Chicoutimi. And I believe their series is also tied at a game apiece. And in the Western League, it's Everett and Prince Albert who are playing one another. And the winners of those series will go to Kelowna. Kelowna's the host team. So Kelowna, the WHL rep, the OHL rep, and the Quebec Maritimes Junior Hockey League rep. And Paul thinks if we make it there, we're going to give that Everett team a run for its money. The Everett team has been the top-ranked team in the country for most of the year, just in case you're keeping up with those things at home. All right, back to the phone lines here on Talkback. They are busy. Mark, you are next. Good afternoon.
Hi, Mike. I'm so happy for the Rangers. I've been watching the games on TSN, and it's excellent coverage, Mike. Really enjoying it, watching every game. And I got a couple questions for you, Mike. First, are you going to Kelowna?
How do you, I mean, if the Rangers go there, yes, I will go there.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Good for you.
So I don't know the answer yet. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you'll be going, Mike. Believe me.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Second question. Who is Ross Robertson? The trophy. Who is that guy?
Oh, Yeah, you know what? I should know. I'll get you the answer to that one. It's J. Ross Robertson, and I'll get you the
thanks,
answer.
Mike, and go Rangers, go, baby.
Okay, before you go, can I ask you a question now?
Sure.
Okay, what the heck are you doing watching the games on TSN when you can listen to them here, you muckety muck?
Yeah, pardon me, Mike?
You heard me. You're a muckety muck.
I watch the games on TSN.
I know, but why are you watching them there when you can listen to them here?
No, because the timing is off, Mike. You're like 8 seconds or before or afterwards. It doesn't quite work out for me.
Don't you worry about it. That's just fine.
But I love your broadcast, Mike. Don't get me wrong.
Thanks, Mark. Good to hear from you today, buddy. I appreciate it. I will continue giving you a hard time. I mentioned this yesterday. I have to protect the product, don't I? And this radio station, since the days of Don Cameron, has been your home for Kitchener Rangers hockey. J. Ross Robertson, John Ross to his friends, served as the president of the Ontario Hockey Association from 1899 through 1905. He founded the Toronto Evening Telegram newspaper. He helped to establish the Hospital for Sick Children, and he was a member of the House of Commons. So one of our federal MPs. Don't let politics get in the way of sports, okay? But J. Ross Robertson, a former MP, the founder of a newspaper, and helped get Toronto's Sick Kids Hospital started. There you be. Mike is next on Talkback this afternoon. Good afternoon, Mike.
Hey, how are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. I have not a jackwagon story for you.
I like a good jackwagon story. Let's hear it.
No, not a jackwagon.
Oh, a not even better. I like these ones even better.
I
Okay,
know.
let's hear it.
So, short story, Saturday morning, somebody comes to my door. I thought they were part of my baseball league, and they ask, is my kid there by name? And I said, no. And he holds up this wallet. My kid had dropped his wallet. I live in Elmira. But this guy found it in New Hamburg, right by the community center, right by the baseball diamonds down there. And that's where my kid parked their vehicle the day before. And so my kid's panicking for the last 24 hours, but didn't tell mom and dad. And so this guy dropped it off, and he lives in North Waterloo, but personally drove it to our house in Elmira. He says, I wish somebody would do this for me, this is something I would do too. So I'm like, both my wife and I, our jaws are dropped going, wow, there are great people still around. This is awesome. That's it.
Mike, I love it. You know what time of the day on this show we do our Not Everyone is a Jackwagon segment?
I forget what time.
I was just going to give you the gears for not calling me at 10:20 with this story, but that's fine. I'll take it at 12:15 too. Well done, buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Great to hear from you today. Every day on the show, 10:20-ish. I play by the ish. I'm sorry. I'm not a computer. I'm a human. If you ever listen to those shows that can, do something at an exact time, it's because it's a music show, and the computer schedules all that music so things finish at certain times. I'm a human being. And sometimes the song runs long, or I talk too much. I guess I could be better. I keep bragging about the supercomputer that we all have between our ears. So I could make it happen exactly at 10:20, I suppose. But anyway, every day around 10:20, because I live my life on the ish, we tell you a story that reminds you that not everyone is a jackwagon. 10:20 every day. So, if you want to just tune in at that time of day, you'll get a story that'll make you feel good, maybe make you smile, maybe make you think that all humanity is not lost, right? And Mike's story right there is a fantastic one. He lives in North Waterloo. He finds the Elmira kid's wallet in New Hamburg, and he drives it all the way back into Elmira to return it to said Elmira owner because he wishes or hopes that somebody would do the same thing for him. Nice little story. Mike, thanks for sharing it. Talkback continues on the Mike Farwell Show this afternoon, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. To Norma for the email with some instructions to Mark. Norma's email to Mike at 570news.com says, I'm sure you know this, but the guy who called doesn't seem to. We watch the Rangers games on TSN, and then we pause for a bit and sync it to listen to you on 570. The only way to do it, Norma, Farwell's Force member number 31, I thank you for that. Yes, this is the way to do it because, of course, we can pause live TV in this day and age, right? And if you are listening to this radio station via a smart speaker or online or through your phone, whatever it happens to be, on our Seeker app, whatever it is, the radio feed will actually be behind the TV feed. So all you got to do, and we'll tell you the time left in a period, or you'll know somebody's getting a penalty or whatever, face-offs are happening. You can easily sync up both by hitting pause at the right time on your TV and letting the radio feed catch up. And then you've got them perfectly synchronized, and you just have to reset it after every period. Again, you do you, but we certainly appreciate when you do it Norma's way, because Norma knows what's what, doesn't she? It is your daily Talkback Hour, and Kyle is with us this afternoon to talk back. Good afternoon, Kyle.
Good afternoon. I'm thinking about this whole Kelowna thing. I would love to go to Kelowna. It would be nice I just got a new diesel truck, and it'd be nice to drive it across Canada to the BC to watch the Memorial Cup tournament going on. I'm going to be looking at StubHub for tickets. Wouldn't that be cool, Mike?
Buddy, there's still tickets out there. I was looking the other week.
I know. I mean, I'm trying to convince 5.5 if it's a possibility we can go, because I honestly think it'd be a great idea. But I can't be loud because I'm working from home, and she also works from home, so I can't be screaming, but I'm going to pump up everybody. 3 wins down, 1 to go, guys. Rangers ready, steal the show. Game 4 lights, Barrie Town. Finish strong and take the crown. Let's go, Rangers. Mike, I look forward to hearing you tonight, buddy. Make sure you have lots of honey and lemon and some tea, because I know your throat's going to be sore by tomorrow. So let's go, Rangers. Have a good one, buddy.
Thanks, Kyle. I appreciate it. And I'm sure 5.5, which is Kyle's better half's Farwell's Force number. You see, Kyle is Farwell's Force member number 6, and we wanted to make sure Ashley, his better half, came in sooner than him. But number 5 was already taken, so we squeezed Ashley in at 5.5 to make sure that she gets a status just slightly higher than Kyle, which is as it should be. I love Kyle's enthusiasm for the game, and I love that he's already thinking like others about Kelowna. It would be a very nice place to visit in late May. First things first, tonight's big game. And yes, I will have honey and lemon and water nearby, because 5 periods on Sunday night took a bit of a toll. But we're going to be raring to go tonight for the big game at the Sadlin Arena here in Barrie. Talkback continues with our buddy Preston Paul, Farwell's Force, member number 45. Good afternoon, Paul.
Good afternoon. Game day, baby.
Game day, baby.
I love hearing that from all the callers. I just wanted a couple of things to say. You should have your music requests. If you take a Friday off, we should do it on a Thursday. I enjoy that, especially last week, listening to the songs about different days and Moody Blues Tuesday afternoon. I get goosebumps every time I hear that.
Great tune. Great tune.
Yeah. So you have yourself a great night tonight. I can't wait. The radio is all set up. The TV will be on TSN. When the Kitchener scores, I run into my room, have a look, and then I get my butt back outside.
Sounds good, Paul.
All righty, buddy. You have a good one.
Thanks for the call today. Good to hear from you. And I have considered when I'm not going to be around on Fridays. So Paul is obviously listening very carefully. I'm not going to be here this Friday because next Monday is Victoria Day, and I wanted an extra long weekend. So gosh darn it, I took one. And I've considered, do you move the all request thing then? But it's all request Friday, right? It's not all request Thursday or all request Monday. So I'm going to keep it that way. But I'm always like, I can be stubborn, but I'm always open to new ideas and different ways of doing things. So if you insist on it, but I think we're going to keep it as all request Friday. That's the thing, right? It's not like I move my Friday 4 roundtable to Thursday. What's it going to be then? The Thursday Thor? Anyway. We'll just leave that there. Jason is also with us on Talkback this afternoon. Good afternoon, Jason.
Good afternoon, Mike. It's game day, baby.
Game day, baby.
You know what the Rangers have to do tonight, Mike?
What do the Rangers have to do tonight, Jason?
They have to work harder.
No one cares, Jason. Just work harder.
Is that a little too soon? That might be a little fresh yet. That might be a little too soon.
No,
I just
you're
wanted
fine.
to let you know, Mike, I'm going to go to the game tonight. I got my ticket already, so I'm going to make the trek down. I'm going to be wearing my blues, and I tried to get a seat in the booth with you, but they told me no go. So I said, get me as close as you can to Farwell because I need to hear the call.
You poor guy. I feel bad for those fans that sit in front of us because you are right there up against the broadcast booth, right there. You can't help but hear it.
Perfect.
Good.
We'll
I'll
see
look for you
Mike.
tonight. All right, Jason. Safe travels. Thanks for calling in today. I will say that, boy, oh boy, did we have a lot of Rangers fans up here at the Sadlin Arena on Sunday night. A lot of people made the trip. A lot of people brought mom. It was great to see. But there were, even Dylan Edwards said after the game that he heard some "Go Rangers Go" chants during the game on Sunday on the road. That just shows how well Rangers Nation has been traveling. And we had our highest crowd at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium in almost 14 years for our last playoff game at home last Friday night, 7,500 plus. The only time we had more than that was when we had 7,600 plus back in October of 2012. And it took me a while to figure out what the heck was going on. It was a game between Kitchener and Oshawa in mid-October of 2012. I'm like, how? I looked at the rosters. Was there a player that had just been traded or a big name or whatever that would have attracted that kind of a crowd? Nope, nope, and nope. And then finally it hit me. Back in October of 2012, that game against the Oshawa Generals was the first home game with the renovation done, the blue seats having been added at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. We played the first 10 games of that season on the road. So that was the first home game. So the first time we could put that many bums in seats, we did put that many bums in seats. And then last Friday, we got the second highest crowd since, 7,500 plus for a playoff game. Tonight in Barrie, if you're like Jason, boy, oh boy, what a lucky ticket you've got with a chance to see your team clinch the J. Ross Robertson Cup on the road. Big game ahead, pregame at 6:30. If you can't be here, that's fine. We've got you covered on 570 News Radio, and we continue on this station and Rogers TV with your Talkback Hour. This is the Mike Farwell Show. Your daily Talkback Hour is underway, giving you the chance to have your say on the issues of the day. And just before we get back to the phones, they're open to you, 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. They're busy, but if you can't get through on the favorite line or the line you usually use, just try one of the others. You will get through. I wanted to share this quick email from Scott. I love it. Scott writes to Mike at 570news.com. There once was a host named Farwell who treated our townfolk quite swell. So this 6-pack of beer comes with thanks and good cheer from 2 Not a Jack Wagons as well. Thank you for supporting Wilmot, Lou DeVita, and Scott Dunstall. Scott, I don't know what I did, but I appreciate this. Now, if there is beer, if you're telling me that there is beer waiting for me back at the boardwalk, thank you for telling me, because I'll tell you, those coworkers of mine, they're very trustworthy, but we're talking beer from Peel Street here, right? Anyway, I love the use of the rhyming. I love the use of jackwagon. We're going to spread the word on people who are, and especially those who are not jackwagons. Don't forget, we have a jackwagon jail on this show where you are welcome to put people and we'll lock them up and throw away the key. When they act like jackwagons, that's where they go. But we also remind you daily around 10:20 that not everyone is a jackwagon. We tell some good stories. Mike called in earlier with a story, even though it wasn't 10:20. We'll take your not a jackwagon stories during Talkback about the young man that found his son's lost wallet and returned it all the way to Elmira personally. I love that stuff. Anyway, I couldn't resist sharing that email because I thought it was well done. Good job by you, Scott. And Lou, thank you. I love me some Wilmot Township. I'm always happy to get called out there to be a part of something or just to talk about the township that it is. In fact, okay, last tangent, I promise, but you probably know our friends out there in Wilmot at TLC Pet Food, right? Just Eric and Sandra Cuttis and the entire team are utterly fantastic human beings. And they are back on board with us again for our annual Farwell for Hire 50/50 raffle, which will be starting in about 3 weeks. 1st of June, get ready for that as we raise as much money as we can for cystic fibrosis research. And we wouldn't be able to do it without friends like Eric and Sandra and the entire team at TLC Pet Food and so many others. And that's a Wilmot-based success story, let me tell you. What a great company they have built right there in the township. So get ready for the 50/50 raffle to return on June the 1st as we launch into Farwell for Hire month. This year, it's in June. And you can also support us by coming to our launch party on June the 4th. We're going to have music and food, which is included with your admission price. You buy a ticket, you get the music and the food supplied. If you want to have a bevy, you got to buy the bevy. But we're going to be at Block 3 Brewery in St. Jacobs. So there you go. Just wait, does St. Jacobs fall in? No, it's in Woolwich. Yeah. Right. I always get St. Jacobs for some reason mixed up thinking it's still in Wilmot, but it's not. It's Woolwich. Anyway, come on over to St. Jacobs and join us for our Farwell for Hire launch party on Thursday, June the 4th. Get all the details on the Farwell for Hire Facebook page, okay? Go to facebook.com/Farwell4Hire. I got to get back to the phones. Poor Tom and Grant have been waiting. Tom is first. Hi, Tom. You're on Talkback.
How are you, Mike?
I'm doing pretty good, thanks.
We got a new draft, number 1 draft, and we got a new number GM. What do you think?
Who is this we you're talking about? The Toronto Maple Leafs, Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy about the first overall draft pick, but I think the GM is the perfect GM to screw it up.
Of course. I don't see why they didn't hire Hunter. I mean, these boys have been doing a great job in London for years. They know hockey, they know players, they know everything. That was my concern. But the GM and, Matt Sandino was a great player, but he's just the picture there. I can't see anything. I don't know. What do you think?
Yep. No, I agree with you on that point. I don't know what Matt Sundin does for you, and I think Mark Hunter would be an excellent suggestion for Toronto. I know he wanted the job.
You probably know better because you dealt with him all the time. So
yes, I have, and he's dealt with me. Believe you me. Okay.
So thanks, maybe Tom. We just need a defenseman. I don't know, a good defenseman.
How about a goalie?
Well, yeah, defense and goalie. That's for sure.
Okay, so now we got defense and a goalie. Okay.
Take care.
Thanks, Tom. You too. Here's my 2 cents on that. Mark Hunter was for a minute part of the management structure in Toronto. And when he was there, he was instrumental in bringing in a guy by the name of Mitch Marner. Now, I know the Mitch Marner experiment flamed out pretty badly in Toronto, but I can't be the only one who has noticed the repeated references to how Mitch Marner is performing in the playoffs in Las Vegas versus how Mitch Marner was performing in the playoffs in Toronto. I don't know exactly what to tell you might be behind that. Maybe it's just that breath of fresh air and the change of scenery, etc. But I think it does indicate that maybe, just maybe, Mark Hunter knew a thing or two about this guy that he had in London that he was bringing into Toronto and his abilities as an NHL player. Nonetheless, I don't think I don't think Dale has any interest in leaving London again. I think he wants to coach there for the rest of his career, but I am fairly confident in suggesting to you that Mark probably has aspirations still for the National Hockey League. And yeah, I would have been a way better choice than John Chayka, as far as I'm concerned. But what do I know? I'm just a guy that covers the Ontario Hockey League. Grant is next with us on Talkback this afternoon. Hello, Grant.
Yeah, good day. I'm high on the blue shirts.
You're high on the blue shirts. Well, why not? Because they're 1 win away from the championship.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that Rogers hasn't done like a countdown to this very nostalgia time, like the Americans do for the Super Bowl. I think if I was running Rogers, I would be doing a countdown. I guess they think that the Rangers has won this the last couple of years. I'm kind of puzzled as to why they didn't even do anything like that. I find that kind of odd, and I think they should recognize them in doing that. It's like,
What kind of countdown do you mean, Walter? Grant, what kind of what kind of countdown do you mean? Do you want them to play like games from playoffs past, or what do you mean?
Yeah, something like that. And
something like that. Okay.
Yeah, I know if I was running Rogers, I would do something like that. So I don't know who the yahoos there. I guess.
Listen here. You know this station is owned by Rogers, right? So when you say you don't know who those yahoos are, you're talking about my bosses, right?
Well, whoever runs the...
Yeah, but when you call them yahoos, you're talking about my bosses. And how do you think they're going to feel if I let you stay on the air when you refer to them as yahoos?
Well, the TV Rogers people...
well, it's all the same company.
Yeah.
And I do know those people, just so you know.
Yeah, and like I said,
okay.
I think they should do something very special
I got
for
you.
them. Yeah.
Okay, Grant, I appreciate the call today. As always, thank you for making it. And you are absolutely entitled to that. I actually think it's a fine idea. I won't even begin to get into the complexities associated with such an idea, just because of how the license for a community cable station like Rogers works. But in principle, I agree with you, and I'm more than happy to hear suggestions like that and let you have this opportunity on Talkback to share those thoughts and ideas. That's what Talkback is all about. I just will kind of draw that line when you start referring to my superiors as those yahoos, because I don't think those yahoos, so to speak, are going to take it all that well if I let you onto this radio station, which is owned by Rogers, and call them yahoos. You know what you see what I'm getting at here? It's a bit of a fine line, but I'm going to err on the cautious side of it and just say, thank you for the idea. Again, I actually do love the idea. And I wouldn't even begin to imagine how much more difficult it is to implement the idea than it is to say, this is the idea that I would like you to implement. There's a lot behind it. It's simple as that. I don't even know all the details behind it, but it's a good idea. I really do like the idea. It's too bad we can't. Walter is next on Talkback this afternoon. Good afternoon, Walter.
Good afternoon. Mike, I got a hypothetical for you.
All right.
3-2, any team, right? It's 3-2, almost the end of the game. They yank the goalie with 3 minutes left. They score an empty netter. And then they put the goalie back in. Is that empty net goal, is that actually charged as a goal against that goalie?
How is that a hypothetical? Anyway, what do you think?
Well, like any game, I'm just saying.
What do you think the answer is?
I'm not sure. That's why I'm asking you.
How do you think?
I haven't looked it up. I'm on the road here, and I just...
Oh, that's fine. I just... let's work through the problem together. Show our work? I'm just wondering how...
Mike.
How could we charge a goal against a goalie when he wasn't in the net to make the save? How could we do that? That doesn't seem fair, does it?
Okay, well, yeah, absolutely not. But he's the goalie of record, so who does that empty net goal? It gets charged, over to the team. Is that what it is? How does that work?
But yes, it would be. I guess it would be one of the goals against the entire team. Sure, on their goals for and goals against in the overall statistics. Yes, but that goalie does not get that charged against his record in the game. Absolutely not, because he wasn't in the net to stop it.
Okay, see how simple that was to ask that? Boy, you're getting kind of testy here today, Mike. I thought you'd be in a better mood with the game going on here tonight.
Well, I'm sorry. I got hung up on hypothetical, and then I just I thought we could walk through it together, and then we'll always remember the answer.
Okay, well, now I know the answer. So now also, what do you think? I don't know if you've been watching or not, but like last night I watched the game, and or I'm sorry, if they're on a Sunday night I watched, and then the second game that they're showing on the tube is the halftime of what is that, ESPN or whatever it is that they're using in the U.S., and then they cut back over to Sportsnet. For the play, or I'm sorry, for the in between, like after the game is over, they cut back. Like, I don't understand. Like, what's going on there? How come Sportsnet isn't running the whole thing? Any idea on that?
Yeah. So Rogers, generally, the big Rogers, owns the rights to the National Hockey League, and they will farm out or sell off portions of those rights to networks that want to carry some games. Sportsnet, certainly in the earlier rounds, couldn't do every one of the games on their own. There's just not enough capacity within the network. So those games, as I said, will be sold off to other networks, be it ESPN, ABC does some. They're the same company anyway, and blah, blah, blah. The games that you see that get put on Amazon, Monday Night Hockey, right? They do on Prime now, or whatever they call it. And that also is a deal that's brokered with Rogers, because Rogers owns the rights to the NHL broadcast. So they just sell them off here and there for other networks to air, because they couldn't possibly do every game on their own. Yeah, see, I'm not a big fan of those U.S. intermission shows. I like our Canadian content. Those guys, they're hilarious. The ones down in the States there, like especially that guy, I don't know what's his name there, Biz. I saw him on there. One time with Wayne Gretzky, and he was making stupid comments as far as I was concerned. And then ever since then, I've never seen Wayne back when he's on, because he's probably sitting there going, well, what the hell am I doing in a studio with this clown? So anyways, I mean, I'm just speculating, but that's how I see it, Mike. And thanks a lot. Good luck tonight. I think you're going to do it. You're going to be out in Kelowna, and I'm looking forward to that, Mike. Now, are you going to be out in Kelowna actually calling the games out there as well, Mike? If the Rangers are in the Memorial Cup, yes, I will go to Kelowna to call the games.
Oh, your old romping grounds out there. You can look up some old friends out there from up around Armstrong or wherever it is. Armpit. Isn't it Armpit, or is it Armstrong?
Easy. It's Salmon Arm, you knucklehead.
Okay, buddy. I'll talk to you later. Thanks.
Okay, Walter. Goodbye. Goodbye and good riddance, Armpit. I am actually getting very nostalgic for the opportunity. So I'm trying to, again, contain my excitement just a little bit. But one more win for the Rangers means the Rangers win the OHL and they go to the Memorial Cup. And yes, Kelowna is about 90 minutes away from where I first went on the air full time at a radio station in a little town called Salmon Arm, British Columbia. And I promise you, on one of the days there is not a game for me to broadcast, I will be renting a vehicle and driving back into Salmon Arm, just like I did almost 30 years ago to the month, and got my first full-time radio gig. I can't wait more than anything. I don't know of anybody that is still there that was there when I was there all those years ago, but I just want to see the town. I'm going to try to get into the radio station and take a look around there and see how much it's changed. I can only imagine how much it's changed. Anyway, yes, I'm going to go past the neighborhood where I used to live. I'm going to go by the mall where I used to shop. I wonder if the mall is even still there. I don't know. Anyway, I'm looking forward to all of that. But first things first, right? We got to win a hockey game tonight. Game day, baby. And it's a big game. Talkback continues on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. We are winding down for another day here on Talkback, and what a day it is. Not only does it still appear to be mostly sunny, a little bit on the cool side for my liking, but still mostly sunny here in Barrie, but we are here because of the opportunity that the Kitchener Rangers have before themselves tonight here in Simcoe County. And that is the opportunity to win the J. Ross Robertson Cup as OHL champions. Jason called earlier, said he's on his way to the game later. I got a message from Kyle not too long ago, not the Kyle that calls this show regularly, but a different Kyle. He's got tickets. Rangers fans were here in pretty strong numbers on Sunday. Sounds like they're going to be here in pretty strong numbers again tonight. Would you believe that today is actually 18 years to the day that the Kitchener Rangers last won an OHL championship? It was May the 12th, 2008, when the Kitchener Rangers beat the Belleville Bulls 4-1 to win the OHL championship. Nick Spaulding, yes, the guy that was on the bench with the Cambridge Redhawks, winning a Sutherland Cup this year, and of course a former Kitchener Ranger and a former NHLer. Nick Spaulding scored the winning goal for Kitchener in that Game 7 win over Belleville, May 12th, 2006. Here we are on May 12th, 2026, and here's another interesting connection. That OHL championship back in 2008, the Rangers got out to a 3-0 series lead, and Belleville won the next 3 games to force a Game 7. I'll never forget the feeling after losing Game 6. We lost Game 5 or Game 4 that year in overtime. Anyway, it goes 7, and here we are up 3-0 on the Barrie Colts. We want history to repeat itself by winning the OHL championship on May the 12th, right? Just like we did 18 years ago. We don't want history to repeat itself where we have a 3-0 series lead and we have to play 7 games, right? We shall see what happens. A big step still to be taken. Can the Rangers take that giant step tonight? You will find out when you tune into this radio station. The pregame show starts at 6:30. The puck drops just after 7. And Josh Piercy and I have you covered for Rangers Colts Game 4. I look forward to talking to you then, and I'll be back in studio with you tomorrow morning. My name is Mike Farwell. You are a force for good. Bye for now.